Hey everybody, welcome back to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. I am Adara, and this is Obi, and we're gonna wait for everybody to kind of get into the chat here. I'm putting on my best Sharif, I guess, here. Bears versus Bulls, saying Adobe's back on the Midday Show together, let's go. Chase Bands, happy Monday. Market Sniper here, Havana Woody. Darwin in the chat. We're going to wait for everybody to get involved. Also, the TQQs are dropping, so we're going to take some profit here. Please just punch. We'll get into our trades in a moment. But first, we want to welcome everybody here into the chat. JC Finance is here in the chat. Bears vs. Bulls again saying, let's go, which shout out. Cairo saying good morning here as well. Shout out to you. Just waiting for everybody to come in. How was your weekend, Obi?
It was good. Got a little R&R in and slept a lot, but yeah, otherwise it was good. How about yours?
I slept like all day on Saturday. I'm not even going to pretend like I didn't. It was a nice little relaxing rest. Then yesterday was able to get a little bit done. So that's all. I feel like R&R is good on a weekend, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But we're getting some more people here.
Nice scalp there.
Oh, thank you.
Solid.
Yeah, I'll get into the trade in a moment here, but we also have Mateus Lanes, Oscar Plays, Balanambi, Easy Trader, The Boring Man, Hudson Trader, FFTB, Stupid Bitcoin, Ponzi, Fonzie, Bonzilla, Enad, Mahesh, Matthew Booth, Uzi Game, Anthony Kerr, Travel Buddy, Trading Range, 1320 Wolf, Off Grid, Fat Figa, Mr. Longshorts, Tyru, Bristol, Elon, Yoel Reyna, David Hay, AJ, Adam DeLuce, Joe Finero. So many people here in the chat. Sam saying, let's make me some money, my dear friends from Canada. I think that's a great note to end this welcome on. But if I didn't say your name, still shout out and thank you for being here today. What kind of trades have you been looking at this morning before we get into the lesson?
Nothing too crazy. I had a couple of trades written down in the morning. Apple and TD, GME, we saw what it did on Friday. That was pretty wild there. Didn't really partake in the GME move, and I didn't even look at it after this morning. I did kind of attempt to break out. Oh wow, what a beautiful reversion. Okay, so I guess it did pull back off of previous day highs around 17s, but yeah, no, I had a bit of an Apple short, just a day 2 earnings play there, and it's holding VWAP as of right now, and yeah, the market getting a little bit of market tailwind as well as the futures pull back off of this 18.1 area-ish. But yeah, let's see if this trend kind of holds on for the day. But it is a Monday start to the week. But yeah, that's all I really had on board. TD, I'm in there, tried a couple of times, didn't really work, looking for that continuation from the previous day, but you know what, if it's going to revert, it'll revert. It's got sold off quite heavily on Friday with the whole DOJ debacle that's going on with the banks. So.
Good way of putting it. Debacle is a great word to use there, yeah. Nice short on Apple, though, that's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Got a little lucky there, but yeah, no. Worked out. It worked.
It's always nice when the idea is like you have a reason for it there, and then you get a little bit of luck helping you out along the way, right? Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that night, the confluence there, I guess.
Yeah, confluence.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think my only trade so far today, I had this TQQ short, which I want to talk about quickly. I know TQQ generally, it's been pretty strong. I know Sean, shout out to Sean being in the long in that, but I came, this was the thing on my chart this morning, and I saw we did these lower highs. And so I was like, you know what, Adara, try to take this as a scalp, just taking it into VWAP, which is what I ended up doing here, got involved. 57.63s. I was only risking about 5 pennies. I said if we decisively break above 57.68, I'm going to have to say bye. And I was looking for minimum 57.57. We got here into VWAP, and I said, you know what, Adara, just get out here. So that's what I ended up doing. Scalped about, I think, 10, 11 pennies. So please just punch. First trade of the day. I'm also looking at here a SOXL short. This is one that I have been trading a little bit recently. I think it's kind of, especially since going live and trying to trade less expensive names, I think SOXL has been a nice way for me to get all my chip plays, all of my chip nutrients there in one dose. So I do like the fact that we're now below the 90 MA. We're seeing lower highs, lower lows. We're below VWAP. There is something I like here. It's going to stay on the side chart, and I'm going to have to update the rest of my side charts and revamp to see if there's stuff I want to look at right here, right now. Donnie's and Bob, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Beak already wet. I want to get drenched. Yeah, wow. Lots of opportunities in this market here, I think, with which to do so. It's a Monday. We have earnings. Palantir tonight. So you can see that with Sean and I. So I think there's definitely lots of opportunities to dip one's beak here heading into the rest of the day. Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. We can see the futures kind of pulling back here a little bit. But yeah, Loan, let us know on the chat what you guys are trading today so we can take a potential look at that. Yeah, Palantir earnings tonight, but it's already kind of making a bit of a move here. Let me pull that up for you. Palantir, PLTR. Okay, so yeah, take a quick look at this one. Earnings anticipation potentially doing that nice strong RVOL going into the morning session and kind of continuing that trend into that 25 for now. Let me take this EMA off. But yeah, you guys can see how clean it's been pushing off of this morning session, even in the off the pre-market is what I mean. Holding some of these pre-market levels as well, quite strong to the upside there on Palantir. What do you got going on?
Oh yeah, sorry, I completely like zoned out there. Yeah, I'm trying to get this SOXL short. I just mentioned I'm interested in that 40-46 area, and I didn't mention that I was looking at that area. I mentioned that I was looking at the chart. But why I like this area is look at these wicks we had into here. Then we had that move down. That's about where that doji candle is. So I'm gonna aim for 45, just to give it like an extra penny there. I want minimum moving down here into 40-30, so I'm definitely okay with that level. I need to look at some other stuff though. I've basically been looking at the same two things all day, namely my SOXL and my TQQs. I've only been sitting down here for like about 5 to 10 minutes, so still definitely have time to play the market field, as it were, and see what else this market is feeling. Shout out to you, Coffee Trader. Appreciate the shout out there. Definitely just trying to work a little bit on my trading every day, and it looks like SOXL might let me into this. Hopefully this will end up being a SOXW. That would always be nice there. Not a huge position, just enough for me to kind of piece it out a little bit along the way, which is something I sometimes like doing. I like that you mentioned Palantir as well. I know some people in the chat mentioned Palantir, and Palantir right now actually kind of rangy. So that is, of course, always going to pique my interest. Let me look at the PLTR here. Yeah, so I like that we're kind of chopping and churning a little bit with this base around that 2470. I don't want to get short this. We are up like 6+% of the day. It's an earnings move, et cetera, et cetera. But if we come back down and rest around, what is this? Like this 2470 area, I have no qualms about getting involved here. So I'm going to be keeping this on my side chart. I'm not going to have a dip buy until I see levels I really, really like, but I do think this is quite a nice look on PLTR. Also, shout out to Yatu, blessed to take 110 a share on Mullen. Shout out to you. I know Sean was mulling over some Mullen earlier today as well. He was in that trade, so definitely not. Let's look at Mullen, because this is not one I look at very frequently. And that's, you know, a little bit. We have Lucid Group reporting tonight as well, so certainly a lot of opportunities for these EVs to be on watch. This is actually nice here. We might, if we see some support at 540 on Mullen, I'm not gonna like hop in both feet first, but I might dip a toe in the water, you know what I mean? Try going in the shallow end here with a couple shares that this area holds up. We are below the 9 EMA, and we did have a lot of consolidation, a bit of a top there at 580, but we're gonna have to see what awaits us. I don't think this is necessarily a bad look. We are involved in SOXL, so let's try to get that SOXW here as we head into this morning.
Before we move on, we got a little bit of a new sponsor here. So brought to you by Blue Chew. Guys, remember the good old days when you were always ready to go. Well, those days don't have to be over. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in convenient chewable tablets at a fraction of the cost. Sign up at bluechew.com. Consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and you will receive your prescription discreetly delivered to your door within days. No awkward doctor's visits, no waiting in the line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and shipped directly to you. And we've got a special deal for you. Try Blue Chew free when you use the promo code TraderTV at checkout. Just pay $5 for shipping. Visit bluechew.com, promo code TraderTV. Wow, okay. All right, trust me, I can come up with a lot of puns for that one. You guys will, just wait, don't worry about it. We're just getting started here, guys.
Obi, oh, you guys think you pun a lot on this show? Just wait, yeah, so. Shout out there to Obi. Thank you for doing that ad read there. SOXL, looks like we might actually be taking a SOXL on this. We're breaking above here. I'm gonna step out of this trade as we head into the lesson of the day, because I don't want to be too distracted by this one. Also, I don't think I planned this as well as I necessarily should have. I got involved, then we have a nice little pop up here, and I'm like, you know what, SOXL, if you want to move to the upside, that is fine by me. Still slightly up on the day with that TQQ trade, but always bullish on positivity. That's what we do here on this show. But also what we do here is lessons. And right now we're going to talk about scalping the open. I mean, we love talking about scalping here. The theme of the week is going to be how to trade IPOs, SPACs, and direct listing. And here we're going to talk about some different strategies for trading those, including scalping the open. So that basically will involve capitalizing on the initial price volatility of an IPO, SPAC, or direct listing. And so quick breakdown, the goal of this trading strategy is going to be to capture small profits from quick price movements within minutes or hours after the opening. So basically the general goal that you're going to have when you're trading in a scalpy way, but you're just really going to have to target it for the quick, fast-paced movements that you have with these IPOs, SPACs, and direct listings. So why are these the right ones to choose? Well, they have really high volatility. These events will often experience significant price fluctuations due to hype, uncertainty, and initial buying or selling pressure. And I mean, Sean was showing us some of those charts from like Reddit and ARM. When you have those first days, and I remember ARM was the first IPO that I witnessed, Reddit was the first one that I traded decently, because I'm not going to count the Birkenstock debacle. But I think it's interesting to kind of see how you do have that initial interest. They're very highly hyped. You can always see it in the chat. We'll try to have the book up ready when we do have these IPOs. We get RBRK recently as well, and what was that other recent one? Viking. So there are a lot of IPOs this year as well, which is why I think this is a nice one to look at. And if you look at any of these charts, you will see a lot of interest on that first day there as well. So what else? What is the other reason? I mean, potential for large gaps comes part and parcel with the territory. We have that big move. There are gaps to come alongside, and so the opening price might significantly differ from the pre-market price, which can create profit opportunities. So here are some strategies to talk about with these. First, you want to identify the candidates. So focus on these highly anticipated IPOs, Reddit, SPACs. Well, IPOs, Reddit was an old IPO, but you know what I mean? Look at those IPOs that are getting a lot of attention. Look at your SPACs, so the Special Purpose Acquisition Corp, or direct listings with strong pre-market interest and research the company, industry, and market sentiment. That's probably going to be more as well if you're looking for a bit more of a longer term or swing move perhaps, but either way, you want to make sure that you know what you're getting into, you know what type of interest might be there. Get a sense, maybe, you know, what price are we supposed to be opening at compared to where we do open. Reddit definitely had that, where it ran up a lot into its opening. So that's a huge look as well. Let's also talk about pre-market prep. So once you have your IPO or SPAC or direct listing that you're looking at, make sure you have limit orders set, that you're looking at to pre-buy or pre-sell at specific price points based on your analysis. And again, this is where research comes in. You do not want to jump in all willy-willy head first without having willy-nilly, or head first without doing all your research and your due diligence. Risk management is also really important. So make sure, just as you're planning your entry, that you're determining your stop loss goals and your take profit levels to minimize potential losses and secure those gains. So now when you have that, now you've got the opening. Observe the price action, and this is a huge thing I want to say personally as somebody who's only traded the 2 IPOs. I was successful trading Reddit. This was still back in the sim, mind you, because I did wait a little bit for levels I liked. I had one trade that wasn't successful. In the second trade, I came in with levels I liked a lot more, and I was able to attack it with the viciousness. When I traded Birkenstock, which is the first IPO I traded, I was basically just in the mindset of, I want to get involved, punch, with no research. And of course, that's not going to go as well, right? So you want to make sure that you do that due diligence so you're ready for that opening and you have observed the price action ahead of time. Then you want to execute your trades based on your predefined strategy and the observed price action, and that's when you're going to trigger your buy and sell orders. Now, quick exit. You are here for a good time and not a long time, hence the scalping, right? You want to make sure you're scalping for small, quick profits. Do not get greedy, and I've talked a lot about how, as a scalper, getting greedy or trying to stay in the move a little bit too long could hurt you, but especially in IPOs or direct listings when you don't really know how this is going to move yet. You have to be really, really cautious and cognizant of what it's going to do because you really have no idea. And if you get a little bit too welcome, a little bit too set in your ways and thinking that the stock wants you forever, that's where things can maybe go a little bit against you. Exit your positions within minutes or hours, depending on your strategy here as well. Some other things to consider: volatility. You want to be prepared for those rapid price swings, and your stop loss orders are going to be crucial to manage your risk. Liquidity also worth noting because newly listed companies might have slightly lower trading volume, making entries and exits a little bit more challenging. Also, the psychology here, because scalping does require a disciplined approach and the ability to handle the emotional roller coaster of short-term trading. I think being in a scalp mindset, as someone who does like scalping a lot, definitely changes their trading, and it's important to consider that mindset as you're planning your trades and your exits as well. Now, a couple other tips. Paper trading, and I as someone who paper traded a couple IPOs, I think that's really key as well. Before risking your real capital, you want to make sure you're practicing your scalping strategies with a paper trading account to gain experience and refine your approach. You also want to start small maybe and start with smaller trading sizes to manage risk and build confidence. And last but not least, track your performance as is par for the course of trading. Maybe you want to maintain a trading journal to analyze your results, or identify your mistakes, and improve your strategy. Scalping the open is a bit more of an advanced trading technique given the volatility that you can get with these types of stocks, so make sure that you understand market dynamics, risk management, and have the ability to act quickly and decisively. And you also might want to look at some indicators to help refine and enhance your scalping, like moving averages, support and resistance, and volume analysis. Also, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat mention the ongoing Kendrick Drake stuff. I have to say, the Kendrick drops this weekend were very spicy. That's what I'm going to say on the matter. But yeah, I mean, any like takes on, I guess, scalping the open or IPOs?
Yeah, no, I think that again, with the very limited experience that I have accumulated on the floor, we've traded some IPOs before, but SPACs, I know I've talked about this on the show before. I did trade SPACs when they were pretty hot I think it was 2021. Shout out to CCIV, shout out to HCAC, some wild trades. CCIV, I think, was the one that moved into Lucid, one of my better trades, holding it into that merger. What was it? The confirmation. Yeah, it was. I think that the SPAC days may or may not. I think they're pretty much gone now. But here's the thing: I heard that wasn't the only time that SPACs were popping and moving around. And the funny thing was. It was SPACs have like this deal where they have a limited amount of time before they have to make a merger, or everybody gets their shares, gets their money back for the shares that they potentially bought. And a lot of them had a floor at $10, right? So it's like, all right, well, if you can get in and around $10, you're pretty much risking almost nothing, right? And then if it started getting a merger deal or any sort of hype around it, I know that Reddit was pretty big around SPACs. Our SPACs. Shout out to all the due diligence that happened on our SPACs back in the day. But yeah, no, it was wild times for sure. But no, IPOs, I think scalps definitely are pretty decent. Looking for stuff on the tape. They're fresh prices, psychological levels as well. Scalps, I think, work pretty decently on IPOs. And I think something I like to look for as well for an IPO is like, who are the underwriters? Is it like, are they nobody? Are they some big banks? Is it Goldman Sachs, JPM, Mizuho, names that we're familiar with, names that we trust? Are they kind of backing that IPO? And then if I see that in their S1 filing, then you can go look at the tape and be like, all right, well, if there's a huge bid that's there, is it JPM or Goldman Sachs buying it up? I have no idea, but it makes me trust it a little bit more on for those IPOs and potential trades around said tape action. But yeah, no, that's what I have to say about the IPOs. Not always volatile, but if it's doing volume and if there's a lot of public interest, I think it can provide for good opportunities.
Yeah, and I think ARM was a good example of that as well, and I appreciate that you brought up the underwriters, because ARM and SoftBank, that was a huge story there. Like SoftBank coming back into the IPO game here. They have ARM, so I think that was certainly a look right now. I just got involved into Palantir. I don't know if we're going to be in the clear on Palantir. We'll have to wait and see what we do here on Palantir, but I do think that this 66 level is going to be my stop, so we're going to be risking about 7 pennies here. Like I said, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I like that we're holding up and continuing to bounce off the 70s level, trying to get into 85s. I do not love that we just took a little bit of a move to the downside here. So not really liking what I'm seeing, Palin, here right at the second, but we do have time. Also, so that SOXL looks like if I'd been a little bit more patient, I would have probably been fine, lost about 5 pennies on that. Right now, basically flat break even on the day. If we keep, because I initially liked this short, right? But then I was like, oh, it looks like we could be moving a little bit higher. I still can't tell. I'm keeping SOXL here on the side chart, because even though we did take a SOXL there on that first trade, I'm always open to seeing if there's other opportunities brewing here. I think if I am scalpy, if I'm quick with the punches and roll with the punches there, pun intended, there could be some opportunities there. TQs as well. Let's see what we've got here on the TQs. Yeah, so I mean, if we keep I think we are still probably along on the TQs. Generally, I find there have been times where I've taken a trade and then I find out Sean's in the opposite direction. I feel like, the Sticky Note Nation knows what it's talking about. And that's usually when I lose out a little bit here. I know Sean is long the Qs. And I took this guy, and I mean, like, regardless, if I like the strategy, right? Which is why I went short here earlier. But that was a planned scalp. So I really want to see a continued movement up, and I want to see a break above that 57.70 area, which, as I mentioned, was a little bit of resistance earlier, for me to feel confident in going long on the Qs. And again, I always scalp and I always range. If there's a range scalp opportunity there, I'll take it. But right now, I don't have enough of a clear read on these TQQs. Palantir, I don't think we're in the Palantir on Palantir. I really don't. I think I'm going to have to probably jump ship there. But also, I want to take a look at Netflix for some people, because I know Netflix, some people had Netflix on their watch list earlier. Okay. Nice move up here. Netflix is up 2+%. Do we have any news on Netflix? Let's find out, shall we? NFLX. CNBC's final trades, apparently, it was mentioned. Not seeing any... Okay, Netflix is back on its way, says Stephen L. White from Short Hill Capital. So some positive mentions here on CNBC. This is a nice breakout, I think, or it's trying to be a nice breakout here. That move pushed down here into 589, then breaking back up over 591. Looks like it's bouncing off the 9 EMA. Not anything I have a trade on, just because this is not anything I'm going to trade, especially so soon after going live. But I think you've got nice support at the date 95.50. What are you involved in right now?
I think it's funny that you mentioned Netflix and that it's doing that. I did write it down as one of my in-play names here. Not the top name, but I have Netflix technical breakout. Is there a bid on VWAP? Get long. What am I doing? I'm not involved in that clearly, but yeah, no, Netflix. Let's take a quick look at what I mean by that. And yeah, it is definitely on its way. Technical catalyst or not, technical breakout is catalyst enough for me. And yeah, let's take a quick look at a higher time frame to see what I mean by that. So take a look at this. So earnings, a little bit of a gap down, consolidation, and now as of last trading day, right here, we pushed pretty strong up into that into these highs there, these daily highs post earnings, and I'm like, yeah, okay, gap fill into previous highs. This is a technical breakout, and it's reason enough post earnings that you might get some buying pressure, with players offside through this level right here. What is that level? 578. So yeah, right off the open, doesn't even look back, straight strength to the upside here. Where does the gap fill? I have no idea. 605s, maybe you take the close 610s, but the strength is definitely there on the day. Now I know I can't play every name that I write down on the notepad. I have like a bunch of ideas. And obviously, I'm not able to assess the probability of those ideas happening when I'm planning before, but when I'm coming in, I'm like, yeah, I did see Netflix earlier on, and I was like, yeah, this is quite strong off of that push, holding previous day's highs as well. And yeah, if we can throw a VWAP on there, actually no, maybe we do want that EMA in there. But let's take a quick look at the volume weighted average price. I don't want those Bollinger Bands, but it seems like it is riding on one of those extremes there. But yeah, holds that VWAP right off the open and starting to accelerate to the upside. Can we get 600 today? I have no idea, but it is quite extended to the upside, trading up for almost 2 hours now as we near into that 11:30 mark. So is that reversion back to VWAP going to happen? I have no idea, but this volume is coming in quite nice. No real RVol to say, but again, technical breakout. Follow through for sure happening there. Watching TD as well. Nothing too crazy. It's kind of grinding to the upside there. Let us know what you guys are trading. I know people were talking about ACB in the chat as well. So ACB, we know that the weed names have been kind of on watch after what happened. I think it was last week. Yeah, last Tuesday. Intraday news with that with the government saying that we're going to be classifying it as a less harmful substance, and then you get this strong volume. Look at that constant volume right into the close. Beautiful short coming in the next day. A little bit of a reversion going on there, and we've only been fading off there since then. And I think CGC was the one I kind of wanted to trade there. Yeah, you can see that I have my anchored kind of clipped onto that volume coming in there, just to see where where the average volume may potentially be offside off of that move there. And yeah, we are trading below that price, holding this $10 level here quite interestingly. But yeah, no, it's been pretty interesting. Been talking to a lot of people about these names here, and something interesting to note. If you go to a higher time frame and take a look at the monthly, take a look at this volume that's been coming in, Adara. Like, it's been expanding into some of these breaks. So yeah, it's been sold off quite aggressively. We know what these names did in 2019 and 2021 as well. Straight selling, beautiful swing short. But that volume coming back in, taking a bit of a base, can't really sell off anymore. And then you have this, again, I'm going to repeat it again, that expanding volume looking very interesting here. So what do we have in store? I have no idea. I got to study some more charts to really kind of bring in that perspective here. But interesting. With the limited information that has been printed on the chart, we are testing some of these previous levels as well. Take a look at that wick as well on the monthly, kind of pushes back into the previous support resistance level right here and then flushes back in. And now we're building back into that. Interesting stuff on these weed names there. Yeah, 1320 Wolf. If you saying that NVIDIA is a great option for people that want that NVIDIA action, yes, sir, it definitely is. NVDA. I was talking about this one in the morning there with Max, and I was like, yeah, that pre-market high looking quite nice there, and we just blast through it off the open, and a little bit of a continuation bid after what we saw. I think this was FOMC. Yeah, so this was FOMC. You get a little bit of a reversion man action happening here with tops at that 860. Interestingly, you come in on Friday, hold that high, and then you bid all the way up into the close. That continuation happening quite strong once again today off of these pre-market highs, previous day highs as well, whatever you want to call it. Levels from previous recent times breaking and accelerating to the upside there. NVIDIA potentially coming into that 1,000 mark. We know that a lot of us are looking for that 1,000 potentially to come back in. It never really did. It got to 970, 974 almost, and then pulled right back in. So a nice little healthy pullback. But if we do go to a larger time frame, it does seem like it has been holding these levels quite nicely. So do we get that sideways consolidation or that continuation? I have no idea, but a little bit of a dip and pop right back into some of these previous levels on NVIDIA. So it should be an interesting quarter coming in with this strength here. We know that all of last year caught quite strong of a bid, and then the beginning of this year we started taking a little bit of a breather as well. So are we going to get that continuation this year? I have no idea. Let's take a quick look at the monthly chart. That's looking perfectly fine. Is that a 3-bar? I have no idea. Chart patterns.
There's something happening in the water there.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if we can like label it, but we know it exists. It's like, you know, it could be like a little shark poking its fin out or whatnot. But yeah, nice look there. You know what's not a nice look is Palantir doing a whole lot of nothing for me. This has not been my best name that I've been playing as of late. I'm probably going to get out of this. I'm trying to be a little bit more patient. We haven't gotten to my area that I want to get out, but I am slowly but surely losing my sanity in that trade. So just kind of darting in and out. I think we're just going to get out here because this is not coming to fruition in the way that I wanted it to. So going to lose a little bit there on the PLTR, but basically we were looking to kind of break below that area. We were not decisively breaking above that 9 EMA that he needed us to for that trend. The boring man asked me about Mara. So you know what? Yeah, take a look at Mara here. He wanted to know my thoughts on Mara. I have to say, this is a mighty fine VWAP bounce. This is a gorgeous VWAP bounce here on, what is this, 1937? This is so clean. Nice move to the upside. We're trying to make a higher high here. Let's kind of see what happens. But right now, 1, 2, 3, 4 green candles trying to push above that nice little area of resistance earlier at 2010. Let's see, not the year, but the price. Okay, that's a nice gap up. Let's see. Okay, I see you, Mara. You're running a little marathon to the upside. I mentioned this, I think, probably a while back, but I think for me on Mara, there is a clear resistance level around that 32, 33 area. We have earnings coming up on Thursday alongside its Bitcoin pal, Clean Sparks. We're going to have to see how that one does. We have had this nice support, though, around 16 continuing to manifest right now. Trying to push above that resistance around 20. I think this could be a nice look here for Mara. And I think additionally here, we're coming to this 20 area. Look, that was a little bit of support in the daily chart earlier coming into March 25th. So this could be a little bit interesting for M to the A to the R to the A. Alex Enzo mentioning a name I was looking at earlier as well for that small cap recap. Nuvo is where the scalps are at, but risky. Also, yeah, so Palantir I got out of. Now Palantir's up to the level I like, but you know what? It's all good. That's how the market goes sometimes. And that's honestly my own fault for being impatient because it didn't even come to my area. So I learned a lesson there. Palantir taught me something about that. So hopefully we had to, we learn, hopefully I learned from that lesson. But basically, Nuvo, yeah, I see what you mean about the scalps being on Nuvo. If we get, that's interesting because we're bouncing off this 7. This is also, speaking of what we're talking about today, this is a SPAC. This one de-SPAC'd on Thursday. So this is actually a recent SPAC play. So nice look here, Special Acquisition Corp. I don't know if there's any special trades for me in this one today, but I might have to acquire some longs off that 9 EMA, take it into 7s if it bounces. I don't, yeah, I see what you mean about risky, Alex Enzo, especially given that it is a small cap and it's a SPAC, but you know what? He might get a spot on my side chart because the SOXL moved kind of out of the range I was looking at. Yeah, this Nuvo might be a new player in my small cap side chart. How are you doing here?
Yeah, no, I was just looking at that Nuvo chart because you mentioned it's a recent SPAC, and I'm like, all right, well, right before the de-SPAC, did it get any sort of action, some movement there? And it seems like you just go back there. It did get a little bit of a pop. You said it was last Thursday.
Last Thursday.
Or something. It seems like it did have roughly like a $10 shelf. This is what I was talking about here. A nice little grind up for many months there. And I think the average time, I think it was like 2 years. A SPAC has to find a potential merger candidate there. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that one, but I think that's what I've heard before. Now again, different ones are slightly different. I know there was that one SPAC, might have been the Ackman SPAC that traded at like 21. They had a floor at like 2021 or something like that. But yeah, no, you got to read the filings for what the floor might actually be. But it seems like it did get that little pop and just dropped right there. And yeah, last Thursday, Friday, I guess, started selling off because yeah, that floor is kind of gone now. And a lot of people, if they were kind of pushing into this, I would suspect that they may or may not be offside, trading below the $10 level there. But yeah, nice little pick right back up off that 190. I wonder what the short float on this one is, because it seems like, is there not a short float?
I didn't see much. I'll check again here.
Okay, yeah, it's because it seems quite interesting that a lot of this buying pressure kind of coming in, pushing it right back up to the 7s there. But yeah, no, interesting action on these SPACs. Definitely something to watch out for. What is the market cap on this one? Not too bad, 88 mil there. So almost hitting that 100 mil mark that I kind of like. Now that's just me, but with a float of 3 million. Yeah, that can definitely be cornered quite easily, especially trading down here at that $2 to $3 mark on the day. And yes, quite strong. Is it doing RVOL? It definitely is. Oh boy, is it doing some RVOL there? 20x, 30x. But again, you got to remember, it probably does not do too much volume on the daily. Average daily volume at 30-day volume is 1 million, and it's doing 30 mil almost today with the 27 happening right now with about 11:30. So it's not even lunchtime, and it's doing a ridiculous amount of RVOL. But the volume on the day kind of dying off here. So maybe something potentially to watch out for. But yeah, let's see what's happening here on the volume gainers. We can run through some of these names here. I got a couple of names on my list as well. Earnings day 1 and day 2 plays as well. I like to keep an eye on and get involved in. We see that Apple kind of holding this 181-ish area here as well. So I got eyes on that one. I did like the short off of some of those morning levels there. Didn't quite hold the trade as much, but it is what it is. I'm looking for that next trade. What is that next trade? I have no idea, but let's continue to kind of look around here, look at the landscape to see if we can find anything that may potentially line up with our playbook here today. All right, so NEO, a little bit of extension to the downside after a pop in the morning, so pushing back into previous days levels here, 555, 5.5 and some change, kind of holding as of right now. Let's see if that continuation, that trend has any sort of continuation to the downside here. SGE, no idea who these guys are. Strong Global Entertainment. All right, less than 2 million float there, so I'm not really going to be looking at that one too much. XBP, who are these guys? Europe Holdings, XBP Europe Holdings there. Again, doesn't really look like too liquid of a ticker. Is this a SPAC as well?
I didn't.
Maybe, I have no idea. Not previously paid dividends. Shares flow 8 million, 100 mil market cap. All right, so maybe something interesting there, but not really looking at that right now. Tesla, oh boy, let's take a quick look at Tesla. I know I like Tesla for sure, but yeah, nice little pop in the morning. Coming back into these pre-market levels, can't really get to that pre-market low just as of yet, but holds that level, nice little bounce happening. Let's see where VWAP's at, so maybe a reversion to VWAP here potentially as, yeah, once it got below VWAP, attempted to cross VWAP once again. Are those any levels here? Okay, interesting, a little bit of some toppy action. Again, that's that FOMC. Let me take this VWAP out of the way. This is that FOMC reversion, I think, that happened last Wednesday. But yeah, okay, so that kind of, those tops holding as of right now with that confluence with VWAP. So that might have been a little nice. Was not watching it, but Tesla kind of ranging there. Now Tesla's an interesting name overall as well. Got a lot of anchors going on there, but none of which are relevant today, other than that one off of. I guess no, that was VWAP. Sorry. All right, so what do we got here? We got Mara. We talked a little bit about Mara. Mara holding VWAP as well, broke through that pre-market high. Take a look at this consolidation that happens right on top of pre-market highs, on top of that 19 level. Bit of a missed opportunity. Now again, when you look back at it, it's all in retrospect, and it kind of looks real nice. But yeah, if you were there for it, maybe there was potentially something there. But that pre-market high hold, the consolidation continuation above VWAP, happening on Mara there. Apple, I know we were involved with that a little bit in the morning, kind of comes into these previous day levels here. Can't really push too far. Again, we know that Berkshire, I was watching a part of that AGM for Berkshire. I think there was videos and clips posted about it over the weekend, and Warren Buffett talking about how or why. I think the question was asked, why did you sell all that Apple with that recent 10K that was filed? And I think he suggested something along the lines of, okay, we're kind of now this is just my interpretation of it, and he was like, okay, we're kind of paying taxes, and you shouldn't be too worried about us selling Apple when you know that it is going to be one of our holdings. And he also mentioned Coke and American Express as well, along the same lines in those statements. But interesting little pullback on Apple, holding below VWAP as of right now, holding below previous day lows as well. Again, earnings day 2, quite an interesting move there. Strong RVOL on day 1, not really doing as much RVOL, but trading below it, and we are catching a little bit of weakness along the lines of those previous days levels there, 183, 184-ish area. Nuvo, we talked about. SoFi, I haven't really looked at SoFi today, but looks a little choppy in the range. SoundHound, I think you were mentioning this earlier with that. And again, NVIDIA has a stake in SoundHound.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, they do.
What was that other one again? SoundHound and
Big Bear
ARM.
AI? No.
No, I think it was ARM. ARM and
it was
SoundHound.
ARM. Yeah, ARM is one
ARM
of them too. Yes, there were quite a few.
Let's see
ARM's
what our
definitely the
friend
bigger one.
ARM is doing here. ARM holding a little bit of a bid. Again, I don't know if there's much of a correlation to NVIDIA, but yeah, okay, so NVIDIA also kind of trending up. We talked about that pre-market high break that kind of happened. Where's my pre-market levels here? Let's see. Anyways, but yeah, kind of those top names. AMD kind of pushing towards some of those highs as well. Maybe potentially coming into an anchored. Is that off of earnings? I think so. Potential earnings anchored coming right back in for AMD. Nice little dip off of. Again, we seem to be holding a lot of previous day levels on a lot of these names here. Market quite strong. So let's take a quick look back at these futures here, kind of holding this 18.1. We did push off of, like I said, that FOMC level held quite nicely as of last week, printing above that nice little spike, reversion back down, holding those levels. But what do you guys got on watch? Let us know. We'll take a quick look at them. What are you up to?
I'm actually in the TQQ. Speaking of the futures here, we are, though, chopping and turning around that previous high, as you mentioned, those levels that we got into during the day that Jerome Powell really did live up to the reversion man nickname that you've given him there. We had all of that movement up, down, all around. I'm proud of what I did with this trade, though, because I want to talk about it here. We did get involved again. I took that short earlier, and I said, hey, if we keep curling up, I have no qualms about getting long. And we did. So I got involved at that 57.64 area. That was the area I went short earlier. So that was kind of the impetus. I said, if we hold it up, I want to get involved. I saw that we were kind of breaking above that 68 level. Then I took some profit out here around 74s. Then I was like, you know what, Adara, we could go higher. Why don't you want more shares? So I decided I did. And I had a plan to add here. Well, I planned it after the fact, but the point is we didn't rush into it. I had a little dip buy at the ready here to reload at 57.68. So why 57.68? That was that previous resistance on a wick basis and also on a closing basis, right? So all the levels I'm trying to say were very pre-planned. Then I added in, I wish I had a few more shares here. I feel like I still don't have a ton of wiggle room, and I have no problem continuing to add the dips right now. We still have 2/3 of the position right now. So everything that we added at 50, we've taken out everything at this point that was added at 57.64. Now we just have the 57.68 position left. If we have a high of day break, I do have some pieces for the dream. And hopefully that dream will be beautiful. Let's take a look at Palantir, though, because I mentioned earlier the patience there was not here for me. So shout out to anybody who's still in this long, because congrats to you. I like the area I got in. I just got very, very skittish, and I was like, Adara, just get out. So I did. I think this is honestly the definition of a panic sell. I really don't know what else to say. I was going to stay in here until 24.66. We didn't get below 24.67. So at this point, this is such an L. And I think the reason it's such an L for me and the reason I am kind of beating myself up for it is because it was a mental failing. And the second I get out, it continues to move to the upside. I have no one to blame for this but myself. And again, shout out to anybody who's in this long. I know Sean is, I know there's some people in the chat as well. Shout out to Elon, I believe, who are involved in this on a swing basis or heading into earnings. So shout out to all of you guys. Great trade. I fumbled the ball on this. And honestly, that's why patience is so important. And it's something I need to remember. So I'm going to bully myself a little bit for this with the intention that I'm going to do better now. Also, shout out to Elon here in the chat saying that Uber, $3 in the money here for Uber. So shout out to you, $3 club on UBR. Nice continued move here to the upside, up almost 5%. Chopping and turning, bouncing off that EMA. Let's see the 9 EMA. Let's see if we have any lift off in Lyft, which is on the NQ, which I always forget. Lyft reports to tomorrow after close. Then we get Uber Wednesday before open. So those two rideshare names gonna play a little bit of bumper cars. Oh, okay. Okay, Uber, or Lyft, not Uber. I like this 1752 area. I like that we had a little bit of chop and churn. We break above, we rest on it. You know what? Lyft might be getting lifted to my side chart. I still have Nuvo on here, but this is not a name that is really necessarily always going to be my wheelhouse. That being said, I like that we're bouncing on the 9 EMA. I like the higher highs here off VWAP. We're not going to kick Nuvo off here just yet. We're going to keep Nuvo on the side chart, but Lyft is going to be on my mind because I think Lyft could be ready for lift off that level. Also, TQs getting a little bit slouchy here. I would like them to continue to have that momentum off that 57.70. I have no problem adding to the position a little bit at 57.70, but I'd rather it just continue to make its move towards high of day. Happy with how I executed the trade thus far, and I don't want to panic sell because of the Palantir situation as well. I want to steer Palin clear of panic selling from now on. But yeah, this Nuvo. I like this Nuvo, but if I'm involved in Nuvo, I'm going to have to dedicate all my attention to this. I'm going to have to be hopelessly devoted to Nuvo. Shout out to Greece there. So we're going to have to see what NUVO does, but it is staying on the side chart for the time being. DAL, the incredible Mr. Lib wants us to check out looking at options for the June 21st $55 call. Let's take a look here at DAL. Okay, let's look at, okay, this is nice. This flat top break here, 52.40 is really nice on the intraday, but you mentioned options. Okay, if this holds though, that being said, if this holds, I might be getting long DAL off the 9 EMA, but that's not really the point. You wanted to look at the daily. I'm assuming you wanted to look at the daily here for options, and this is, Yeah, this all upside here, flying to the upside here for Delta. This looks like an alpha chart here to the upside, pun very intended. A little bit of resistance coming back into this late 2023, early 2024 at the 42 level, continuing to move to the upside here. Then we have this nice bounce off the 46, which is a bit of previous resistance in March 2024. So I think this is a nice look here. And yeah, you're saying options as well. So that looks like upside could be a nice option here for this DAL. Also, shout out to the Piper earlier mentioning this range in GE. I totally missed this. That is very much on me. But this is also a stock that's probably a little bit too, as Sharif sometimes says, too rich for my blood, especially since going live. This one is over $100 here. We're at 167 plus, almost 168. That being said, this flat top break was pretty suave. We only tested it a couple times. When we break above that 167.40, we do so with a viciousness. We bounce off that 9 EMA. GE ready for liftoff here. I think this is a very nice look. Also TQs, if you want to break the high of day. I'm so happy I packed my patience and I'm still involved in this. So yeah, Nuvo I'm still looking at, but TQQs I'm very happy with. How's it going over here?
Not too bad. I did kind of indulge a little bit further into that TD. Now, again, I've been stopped out a couple times on the short there. Maybe this is the one that'll take us to VWAP and beyond, potentially that 55, kind of that consolidation in the morning. Let's see if we can get all the way down there. Or not, who knows? But yeah, that DOJ news kind of has me a little bit leaning a little strong on one way for when it comes to bias. But yeah, let's see if we kind of get that move or not. I have no idea. Let's see if we can get a little lucky with that 55 there, as it is kind of breaking that trend, right? A little bit of a trend break happening there. We can see again. Previous day, oh boy, take a look at that. Did not really break trend till end of day. That was quite beautiful, a little bit of a missed op there. So maybe I'm getting a little potential FOMO trying it so many times on the front side of the move there in the morning. But let's see whether or not that sell is coming right back in. Again, I think that a bank getting a little bit of that news maybe has some larger players looking, having a little bit of an interest in the name there. Yes, previous day selling quite distinctive. NVIDIA to the upside, continuation. They're making fresh highs, so I guess there goes the futures with them right there through those highs. So 18.1, 1880 seems like a little bit of a double top hold happening there on the NQ. And what did the ES hold there? This 5180-ish level. But yeah, no, I don't have any ideas for the longs there. If you guys have any, let me know in the chat. But yeah, no, I'm looking for Apple to maybe come back into some of these levels from the morning session to see if selling can kind of step back in. It is consolidating pretty much sideways here, so nothing really too crazy on the Apple there. Let's take a quick look at some of these names here. I do have a list, so I've been making a list every morning, a little bit of earnings focused list, where earnings day one, day two potential names. Let's see if they have anything that looks enticing to say there. So let's just go through that list. We got Apple, and we know that we're already kind of watching that. Apple kind of holding below VWAP as of right now. Low days here, what is that? 181.60s. What's this low here specifically? 181.64, and this low right here, 181.69. So all right, so in the 60s, those lows kind of coming in. Let's see if we get that continuation. But we are holding those pre-market levels, so it could just be a chop fest all day. But yeah, no assumptions, no regrets. So Coin, let's take a quick look at Coin. Coin again is earnings day two as well. And let me take this VWAP here, kind of making the chart a little messy, but it hasn't really gone too far anywhere, trading back below some of these pre-market highs, which had confluence with that day one earnings highs as well. So a little bit of a pullback, but within that range of that earnings reaction as of right now. So nothing for me there. SQ is the next one. SQ kind of sold off quite aggressively on day one. Now we're getting a potential, a little bit of a pickup there. Let's see that looks like a little bit of a double top here happening at that 72.30s. Again, chart patterns don't really, I'm not really giving too much precedent in terms of the bias that comes off of the chart patterns, but again, we can see that price action attempted this area twice and kind of sold off, and now we're grinding back up into it. So that's a little interesting bit of a look there on SQ, day 2 earnings happening right now. Okay, so what's the next one? I'm going to DraftKings, DKNG. I know a lot of people are definitely involved with the DraftKings and trade it quite often. Head and shoulders, interesting. Again, another chart pattern happening here. 4370s with the shoulder and that little wick off of previous day kind of levels here. That first little leg that we got right back up in the 44, 60, 69, 60s, and then can't really get that far there. Look at that selling that kind of started and accelerated to the downside here. That's kind of where that selling comes right back in. And now we're making a little bit of a run for this consolidation low, 4330s on the DraftKings. All right, so next is NET, Cloudflare. Again, in that tech space, in the software arena there, Cloudflare, not really doing too much. Sideways after that morning flush on day 1, doing more of sideways action today, holding that level here. What is that at 75.89? So just underneath that 76 happening on NET. Cloudflare, so EXPE, Expedia. I know that it's strong selling off of day 1. What do I have in my notes here? Strong fade, a gap down. Again, taking a look at a higher time frame here. Let's take a quick look at the hourly. You can see that a little bit of a gap down through some of these lows. Previous earnings, right? Previous earnings low was in and around this 126. Coming in, that earnings can't really get past that previous earnings level, maybe potential reference as well. That day 1 can't really get past that 126 and sells off quite aggressively. Now again, their earnings quite fine, but maybe I haven't really looked at the guidance, but maybe the market's a little disappointed, the sentiment's a little disappointed in that guidance of Expedia there. On earnings day 2, not really doing too much, sideways. So AMGN is the last one for the earnings day 2 that I have, and breaking. Oh wow, okay, this is nice. Breaking below day 1 levels. Now this one gap into multi-month highs I had. So yeah, maybe a little bit of selling pressure coming in as well, because we haven't seen these levels on AMGN for since February, right? So since February of this year, so maybe a couple months ago there, gapped up into these levels where you can see that sellers kind of got a little aggressive. Previous earnings, again, we talk about these reference prices. Previous earnings levels coming in here where that selling got quite aggressive. You rip right back up into it, and it seems like sellers are back in action in and around these, what is this, 320 level, as we are selling off back down. So maybe a little bit of a reversion happening. 50%, are we doing that? This is what? About 50 points to the upside. How much have we had to the downside? Is that 25 points? Almost. So a 50% reversion happening there on a little bit of a multi-day action on AMGN. Now, day 1s didn't have too many on the board today that I was interested in. We know that Save was one of them. Save kind of sold off. Again, didn't really do too well on their earnings. Bit of a miss there on both revenue and EPS, breaking below some of these levels. But now again, it's been in a bit of a downtrend, right? So maybe a little bit of continuation with that disappointing earnings report happening on Save. Another one, Berkshire, of course. Berkshire reported this morning. And yeah, nothing too crazy there. Holds, interesting. Holds previous day lows and that 400. Oh boy, okay, so maybe a little bit of a missed trade on my part there. Wow, what is this low right here? Okay, so let's take a quick look at that low. 399.21. What is this one? 399.26. Oh boy, 4 pennies on something like Berkshire. That's pretty wild there, and it holds and breaks that trend for a nice little reversion, maybe back into VWAP. We are holding VWAP right now. Okay, all right. Missed trade. What's the next trade? I have no idea right now. I'm still looking. But all right, so what is the next one? TSN, Tyson Foods.
Oh, yeah.
Looking, wow, that's a little bit of some action there to the downside. again, I think, okay, so they did miss on their revenue, did well on their EPS there on Tyson. Quite a sell-off off of that report right off of the open as well. So let's take a quick look at the daily here. Daily, nothing too crazy, but it does seem like we are breaking below some of these levels from recent times there. Again, what is this? Previous earnings selling off of these same prices. Okay, so I'm seeing a little bit of a pattern here, using previous earnings range as a bit of a reference prices. Maybe potentially, I got to go back and look at it to see if there's any actual significance in that. But yeah, chopping sideways for now on TSN. Let us know what you guys are trading and looking at in the chat. I see people mentioning Carvana. Let's take a quick look at Carvana. Oh boy, it actually got past that 125. Damn.
Really?
All right, so. Okay, so we saw it was making a nice little shelf on top of that 22 and change last week. Attempted on Friday to get past it. Doesn't really get too far. It only goes up to 124. But oh boy, coming in today, that continuation does happen, and we get all the way to 129. So that was kind of the move we were looking for, or I was potentially looking for on day one, day two. Doesn't really come in, and now when I got eyes off of it on day three, it kind of does the move into 130. And yeah, interestingly, holding those, we were talking about this earlier, holding those 115s in an interesting way. You can see that anchored VWAP. Shout out to Brian Shannon there, holding that anchored VWAP off of earnings quite nicely, and then a little extension to the upside off of this range break, or whatever you want to call it. Some of these levels from day one and day two break out right off of the open. Now we're getting a little bit of a pullback off of that 129. Let's take a quick look left, a little further, maybe on the hourly. No, we got to go a little bit further back than that. Carvana has been quite an interesting name. As you guys know, we are trading well below some of those crazy prices that we got to during the whole 2021, 19 as well. You can see that we blasted up off into these 376s being the high, so hundreds of points below those levels as of right now. But yeah, this is interesting. This 150, can we get to that 150? What kind of volume are we doing? These are all these questions that I'm asking right now. I have no idea, but we are holding these previous day's highs as of right now on the VANA. So nothing too crazy. Oh wow, look at that volume bar as well, right into that flush down. So interesting. I was not watching the tape there on that one, but Carvana looking quite interesting. GME, again, we talk about this one. I was looking for a potential opportunity just off of price action, not really looking for a continuation. A bit of a missed opportunity on my hands as it clips previous day highs, and a beautiful, beautiful straight up reversion back to the downside there, back through VWAP as well, back through the opening price. Oh boy, GME, interesting price action indeed.
I mean, yeah, I think interesting price action. That could be like literally GME's tagline for it's like GME, interesting price action.
Yes.
But yeah, I was reading apparently that rally that we had was the most significant rally the last couple of days, mind you. Of course, not today. That was the most significant rally apparently GME has had since the great Roaring Kitty situation of 2021. So that's pretty interesting there. Also interesting, these TQs. Proud of what I'm doing so far, but man, is my patience being tested with our inability to decisively break back above 57.80. And as I say it, TQQs are like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to say it out loud, I can maybe do it. I'm like, yeah, okay, guys, come on. Really proud of what I did with this so far. I initially got involved at this 57.64 area. Then I got out some at 57.75, added in at 57.68. So really what I've been doing is taking out and adding to build a position. Initially, I was comfortable keeping my very, very small position, trying to head up into another high of daybreak. But I had a pittance of shares. I didn't really have enough shares that I could actually work with and feel comfortable, you know, dispersing all willy-nilly, taking a piece of the dream. So right now I have a bit more of a piece of the dream. That being said, we are doing something extremely dicey at this 57.75. We haven't broken below it. If we break below into that 57.73, that is where I'm going to have to say bye-bye, because to me, that was a huge area of resistance earlier. That being said, right now we're holding up. This is the type of stuff, though, that usually drives me a little bit mad, so I think I just need to not look at it right now, because that's what happened with Palantir. I was looking at it too much. I got out. Now I missed the opportunity to get back on this range, but you know what, Palantir, if you want to keep still ranging, I'll be Palantir. I'll be Palantir waiting for you. And with that in mind, I think Palantir gets back on my side chart because that Nuvo, I'll look at Nuvo again, but Nuvo wasn't really doing anything Nuvo for me. Okay, I will add Palantir later, but I want to keep it on my side. If it's on my side chart, it's in my heart. No, I'm joking. It's just really just in my mind and in my eyeballs, and something to look at there. Palantir's like watching paint dry. Ugh, says Jose in the chat. I like the ugh being added there. That's how I felt earlier. But I think sometimes, you know, when it does have that move, you just have to be aware of it. And that's why I'm a bit disappointed in myself, just a skosh, for getting out a little bit too early earlier in the day. And with that in mind, TQQ is now getting below my area, so we're getting out of the TQQs. Happy I got out where I did. Really happy with what I did with this position. I did end up losing some of those gains from earlier, but happy I tried and happy I had a strategy. If we keep bouncing here off the 52.73, I'm okay with starting a whole new position, a whole new world. Shout out to Aladdin, but right then I had to leave. Yeah, Fat Figa apparently up 117% for the year, so shout out to you. Let's go Tesla break, says RS. Yeah, let's take a look at that Cybertruck, which is always doing things, that's for sure. Trying to break, ooh, okay. Whew. Okay, so right now we're at that 182.60 area. That was certainly an area OB I think was mentioning earlier where we had that couple wicks below, then held it up pretty well. I think to me, the more key thing here is not where we're resting, but where we rejected from. This 183.50 area, that's a level. Had that rejection in pre-market. We come back again, chop and churn, only to reject again. So to me, that 183.50 area, spicy. Very spicy. And I do not like spice in my food, but I do love it when it presents itself in these markets and in these trades. So we're going to have to keep an eye there on T to the S, the L to the A. Some people as well were mentioning one of your old pals, OB, Amazon's. People were like, does OB see what's happening in Amazon today? And Amazon, yeah, we had that nice breakout. Right now, though, this is kind of interesting. We had that support earlier. And I keep in mind, I'm a very amateur Amazon reader, but this is, you know, my take. 187.70 or 186.70, sorry, right? We had that area. Broke nicely above to 187.20s. We broke above that 187 level. Then we come back down. Now we're kind of seeing a skosh of resistance thereabouts, that 186.80, 186.90. I don't have a huge read in this right now. I think we had that breakout. Right now there's a lot of chop and churn around that 9 EMA, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens on these markets. Please just punch. I got out of the TQQs where we did because falling below that area. This is where I think sometimes the biggest thing, and I was mentioning this to Sean last week as well in the coffee room, but really I do think that for me, the biggest thing since going live is trying to minimize my losses. Sometimes you know where to hold them and know where to fold them. And for my trade style, I had to have a really small risk about 5 pennies there. I think 2 pennies on the average version of this, but please just punch with what I did and hopefully able to punch into some more trades. I did mention earlier, I do like that 57.68, but not enough to hop into a long without any confluence as of right now. That being said, if it keeps holding up, I got my eyes on it. So we're gonna have to wait and see if that's something I like. NVIDIA getting a bit spicy here, a little bit interesting. Look at this way that we're holding. This is actually kind of similar look to Amazon, but I think NVIDIA looks a bit stronger here. We're holding this 917 beautifully, but right now, you know what else we're never gonna hold for, we're never gonna wait for, we're gonna see right away is Neil and his lesson du jour.
Hey everybody, welcome. Lesson of the day here. And I hope this is one that can help everybody out at different times of the day, like right now, lunchtime. Everyone understands the concept that the market is a living and breathing beast. It's not the same at 8:30 in the pre-market as it is at 9:30 at the open. And that's not the same thing as noon. And of course, power hour at the end of the day takes on its own special life. So, you know, we understand this from watching day in, day out. Stocks do this and that at different times of the day. But oftentimes we're not really differentiating between trading strategies enough for those times of the session. Now, volatility is going to breed opportunity, and there's different levels of volatility at each point in the day. And if you're not respecting them, then you can find yourself in a little bit of trouble. So the first thing I want to get to here is just sort of an example of something that you can look for specifically, and I'm talking specifically at the open. Let me just zoom out a little bit here for Alibaba, because I think we all understand at 9:30, you have a lot of order flow that can come through that's very indiscriminate. It's buy it at the open, hold it for a long time. It stops getting run on long-term positions, like especially over a weekend where you come into a Monday and you can get these big events and these big moves that might have an entire day's worth of range. And in that situation, there's certain styles of trade in terms of flat breaks or mean reversion trades that just take on a different life. Now, if you're talking about a breakout or a breakdown right at the open, the first thing to consider is you know there's going to be a wider stop area than if you take that in the middle of the day. Like taking Apple in the afternoon when it had like a 185 level and there's lots of size on there is going to be very different from taking, say, Alibaba breaking out its pre-market bottom, something along this, like right at the open. It's just not the same thing. You can't stop out for a 5-cent hit because in the moment that it's taking out that level at the open, the spread's probably just going to open up to that instantaneously and you can get yourself stopped out. So you have to just approach those 8:30 trades with a different stop in mind. If you got trapped in a long trade here, well, how far can you hold it? Past the pre-market lows? I don't think so. And you got to be able to get yourself out. And why is that okay to do? Well, you risk about 50 cents in there. Sometimes it's going to go a couple of bucks. If you take the same trade in the other direction, this is Alibaba, when it breaks down, you risk 50 cents. It immediately drops a couple of bucks. And the only time it does that kind of a move fast is right there at 9:30 in the morning. So immediately your breakout trade, wider stop, wider range to hold, and then you start to think about, okay, well, what's going to happen next? Now, obviously, okay, I'm going to be able to show you a trade for later on in the day. Once you have a stock that has shown you a range and it's past 10 o'clock, you should start thinking about whether or not you want to fight the trend. And the trend can be a deceiving thing. And so one of the things I wanted to mention here for Alibaba is, generally speaking, the trend has been up in this stock, as you can see. Trend cleanly to the upside. There are a couple of very clear down days in the last few weeks, but it's been trend up. That said, just because something dips like this doesn't mean it's a downward trending name. Now, the other thing about those big, massive wicks at the open at 9:30 is they really skew the actual price action. Now, if you get rid of this opening print, which I know I'm nitpicking a bit here, you get rid of that opening print, all you have is a consolidation off the bottom on Friday at the previous close, and then a higher low gets put in, and then off to the races. Again, today, same thing. Big volume candle down, higher low, off to the races. So yeah, there's a lot of volatility coming into this stock, but it's not making an overall lower low, and then it's immediately putting in higher lows when it does dip. So yeah, that looks like it's nasty at 9:30, but if you take a step back, go from one lane to another, you begin to realize, no, if you were calm about this and wait a half an hour or so or 15 minutes, it's going right back into the upward trend. So at 9:30, it's an explosive move in one direction you want to capture, but after 9:30, it requires you to take a step back, wait for it to make some higher lows, even be willing to sit out 50 cents to $1, and then get that later day trade. Sometimes today you can get to VWAP till 11 o'clock, where you were convinced it was holding it after the big rebound. I would argue it tried once and didn't, and it tried twice and did, and 3 times on Friday. And you have to wait a little bit for those moves. That's 10:30. In here, once again, is 11 o'clock. But the good thing about when you have a middle of the day trade, when it sets up like this, they tend to be things you can just kind of hang on to. When your support level holds, you're a little bit more confident. You're not panicking out of those types of trades. Now, the thing about the time of the day that you also have to consider is your own personal success rate. Some traders make all of their money in the middle of or the beginning of the day. Some traders make it all at the end of the day, or 80% at the end of the day, and some in the middle. Ensure that you're not just tracking, well, how do I do on Alibaba? How do I do on NVIDIA? How do I do on whatever the stock is? You're also considering the style of trade you're doing, breakouts versus dip buys, VWAP retracements versus trend trades or whatever indicators you're using. and then understand what time of day is paying you the best and which strategies are paying you the best. I know on Alibaba that the last time I haven't had a breakout in a while because the dip buy off VWAP has been the one to go. And you've got to be able to understand the dip buy off VWAP is not a 9:30 trade. It's also not a 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon trade because Chinese ADRs are going to be slower at that time. So that's a trade I know I'm putting it on between probably 10 o'clock and about 11:30, maybe noon. Outside of that time range, it's no good based on the parameters that I've been watching. So time of day isn't just about markets slowing up or speeding down. That's part of the story. But individual strategies that you're using can adhere or be better during specific times of that day. So got one here for you with Alibaba. We've been tracking it for a couple of weeks. I knew this is something I wanted to talk about because you can't expect that trade to be good during the chaos of the first half an hour. But all of a sudden in the middle of the day, that VWAP hold trade is always a little bit more clear. So understand how time of day affects volatility and therefore affects the trading strategies that you're going to put on at those specific times of the day. That's your lesson of the day. Best of luck, everybody.
Thank you so much to Neil, the real deal, giving that lesson of the day. Someone in the chat was saying Neil, the Navy SEAL of trading. So Neil always getting a lot of love there in the chat for those lessons. So happy you guys appreciate them. Thank you so much to Neil for giving them. And I think it's one thing that's, I think, really apt as well, given the midday. We do have specific types of trades you're going to take, right? And I think we've talked about this a lot in the past, but I think especially for me coming as someone who's only really ever traded during the midday, I'm sure my style is a little bit different. I've developed a style that specifically is suited for the midday. So I think it's a really interesting type of conversation. I really appreciate Neil dropping hot lines there as always, because Drew's not there to say it. I'm going to. Hot lines are dropped. Thank you so much there to Neil for that lesson. Oh, Kendrick Lamar dropped. Have you been listening to the tracks? That's fair. That's not a vibe for a birthday party.
No, well, yeah. I was at Chuck E. Cheese.
That's
it was
fun.
a very
fun,
different vibe.
Yeah, that's definitely not the vibe. But yes, those Kendrick. Let's say I was in Euphoria this weekend. I'll put it that way. Listening to all those Kendrick tracks. That's what I will say on that. But right now, I have this NVDL trade. I want to get involved. I mean, I am involved. I want to see us continue. I like these wicks below here, both on NVDL and NVDA, failing to break below this 9 EMA, more specifically that level, that 917-ish level on NVIDIA. I like it. I do want all the smoke. I want to see what happens. I have enough where I can piece out part of this position. It's not a huge position, but it's enough that I feel comfortable dipping the beak, setting beak wetters along the way. I want to take some out here around that 40.95. I don't know if we'll get it. If we break below here, where's this trough? Like this 40.74, we're risking about 10, 11 pennies. I'm going to have to be outie, but I want to get involved. Alex Enzo saying careful with NVDL. I don't disagree. I do think we're getting a little bit chop and churn here, and I think the fact that NVDA can't make this new high of day, we're seeing these dips below. It's not a great look, but it's a look I wanted to take. And I know Sean was saying this earlier because he was saying this is one of the huge things I've been talking about a lot, is that I think having confidence in your positions is really important. Not every position might be, the Grand Ole Opry or the, winning NASCAR race trade of your life, the French Open, I need to come up with or the Stanley Cup. These are all better metaphors than what I started with. But the point is, not every trade is going to be your big grand trade of the year, but they can be trades that you feel confident and you want to try. So this might not be the gold medal trade, but it could be a bronze medal. It could be a trade I still feel like taking because we had enough confluence, and by that I mean these wicks below 917 on NVIDIA for me to take it. I like it so far. I want to see what continues to come to fruition. Right now, basically flat on the position and never flat on optimism. And always trying to get more, always bullish optimism, bullish positivity, and ready to get back involved or continue to be involved in these trades. Uber, a lot of people mentioning Uber here in the chat. Bright awakening. Yeah, let's see if Uber's had a bright awakening. No, we were up like 5%. Okay. Uber now falling below that 9 EMA. And interestingly enough as well, we had a little bit of chop and turn earlier at 72.30. Look where Uber rejects around 72.30. So with that in mind, the sympathy play I've been taking for Uber has been Lyft. And Lyft earlier was getting a little bit lifted in sympathy with its competitor Uber. Both of these guys reporting coming up. They'll be they'll be, you'll be able to react to them as of Wednesday's session because we have Lyft reporting after close Tuesday, Uber reporting before open on Wednesday. Lyft's last report, if you may recall, had their gross margins estimate being higher than expected, and then saying, oops, someone accidentally added an extra O or extra zero, which was like, that was not the response of the year there. So it'll be interesting to see if Lyft can have a typo-free report. Because fat fingering is one thing when you're trading. It's certainly something you want to avoid, but it's quite another thing entirely when you fat finger an earnings report and your estimates. That being said, right now, Lyft, look where we're kind of bouncing a little bit here, that 1746. To me, Lyft looks a little bit more lifted than Uber right now, but not something I'm super confident in, just a thing I want to keep an eye on. I think it might get a spot back on the side charts, because I've kind of been kicking Lyft in and out, but I think if we keep holding this level, this bounce off VWAP, that bounce off the 1746, Lyft, Lyft might have a place here for me. What are you looking at right now?
I'm watching this Apple here. Apple finally seems to have broken a little below this opening, I guess, range, if you want to call it, there. And yeah, TD kind of pushing back to the upside. I know I am fighting the trend there on the TD, so I got to watch out for this one. Again, nothing too crazy as of right now. I do want to, if and when it kind of starts to fall apart, I do want to get a little bit more there. But I think I'm kind of getting too aggressive, getting a little too aggressive there on the short side on the TD, and it is kind of showing me that I'm on the wrong side of the move there. But yeah, the market kind of coming in here with that 18.1 trading right back below that on the NQs, and then similarly here we were talking about that 51.80 there on the ES. So let's see if that can come right back in. But Apple coming to the downside as well. I was kind of getting my I guess that template ready for all the constituents there, as I didn't have it open here with again futures, Apple, Amazon, Google. What is Google up to?
I thought you were calling it goggles.
Yeah,
because you got right. Start calling it goggles now.
Yeah. I forgot about that. But yeah, no, you were mentioning Uber, and yeah, looking quite nice here as it is pulling back. Look at that trend there. Did they have news today? I'm not too aware.
I didn't see anything, but they're reporting Wednesday.
Uber. I'm talking about Uber. Yeah. Yeah, Neil saying the Microsoft news is a little negative for Google there, but yeah, no, Uber doing RVOL in the pre-market, so I don't know if there's any news on this as of today. 16 minutes ago, let's take a quick look at earlier today, yesterday, Disney, Uber, Occidental, Palantir, more stocks to watch this week. So maybe just a run up in anticipation of, I think, do they have earnings coming?
They do, Wednesday before open.
Wednesday before open. So okay, so a little bit of a run up on the Uber happening, but let's see if we can get back to VWAP. Again, I don't have VWAP on this one, but we will pull it up on this chart here to see if VWAP is anywhere nearby. Okay, so we got VWAP 71 to 71, so only about roughly 20, 30 pennies away off of where we're at right now. Uber pulling back after quite a strong run up in the morning session, 10 a.m. to what is this, 11:30 on Uber. So that is coming right back in. Let's see, what else? Yeah, trend is your friend. Yeah, I know, hold my beer. Trend is definitely my friend, and I am not being friends with the trend here on TD. That is for sure. Again, maybe a little bit of FOMO, maybe a little bit of anchoring to the bias that I originally have, but it seems like I should have held on to that bias on Apple as Apple continues to kind of make fresh lows here on the day. Let's take a quick look at the Apple chart. Pretty choppy, to say the least, but overall trend is to the downside. And if I was still holding the short there, I would still be kind of on the right side of the move there, as we did kind of get that strong. Like this 15-minute candle off the open is absolutely wild there. Take a look at this real quick. Look at that wiki action there. So attempts to push up in the first 15-minute session, and it's slammed right back in. Can't really get past some of these pre-market highs in and around that 183, and now making some fresh lows there. So maybe a potential continuation to the downside. I'm still seeing we're kind of sandwiched between these pre-market low levels here as well, in and around that 181. So maybe trending to the downside. Let's see what we have in store with Apple today. There goes Uber, pushing a little bit further to the downside here. What are you guys trading in the chat? Ready to reload Uber, says Elon at 71.5. Yeah, just underneath that VWAP. Eh? All right, okay, cool. We'll take I'll keep an eye on that. Okay, so it's on top of this opening range high as well. So 71.5. So yeah, I think that's a good place to take a look at to see if any of this momentum or the downside push can stop or do anything interesting there in and around that 71.5 area, being that opening range high as well. But I'm taking a look at Apple here. Where can I potentially get some more in for the downside here? It seems like VWAP was the place. Again, looking back at it in retrospect, it always looks much cleaner and nicer. And yeah, just describing it, you look like a little bit of a genius, but again, it's retrospect. It's all in retrospect. Like, yeah, I coulda, shoulda, woulda done that, but there goes the futures to the downside. You saw that teleportation. Oh boy, here we go, right through that 1880 happening as of right now, and that 5180 as well on the ES. So we are pushing a little bit to the downside here. So let's take a quick look at one of the market leaders, NVIDIA. To see what NVIDIA is up to. Relatively quite strong here, holding up. So let's take a look at the actual largest constituent, which is Softy as of right now. And Softy taking quite a little bit of a pullback there. So is that opening range highs? Well, roughly in the first 50-minute opening range high, you can call it that, and this consolidation as well. So let's see what we do in and around this 409 level here as the futures start to take a little bit of a pullback. And there goes Netflix as well, pushing right back down. So we were talking about a potential pullback into VWAP on Netflix, NFLX. Let's take a quick look. And yeah, so still holding this trend, maybe trend deceleration. I don't have all my moving averages up here, but taking a little bit of a pullback alongside the market here on Netflix.
Yeah, so that I made a little bit of a frustrated noise. I don't know if it came, hopefully it didn't come across on the mic. This was a moment. I was trying to get out 40.95s, living my best life. We get to 40.94s. So we get to 40.95 actually on the sell side. We just don't get to it on the buy side. And NVIDIA decides then that's when it would like to sell off. You know what happens sometimes? So we did have to get out of this trade because we broke below that 40.75 area. I think it's always really frustrating when the idea is right and you just can't execute it properly. But you know what? As Obi was just saying there, where's the next trade? Happy I got out where I did. Thank you, like thankful for small mercies. You know what I mean? I could have lost more than I did. So a little bit disappointed. Displeased as punch, I might say. Slightly down in the day. That's my worst stock of the day by far here on NVDL. But let's take a look at some other names here. J Cars, can you guys do an analysis of Pfizer, please? Smiley face. Yeah, you know what? Of course. Pfizer, that was a name I was having some fun with last week. Fun with a PF, because why not? It's Pfizer. So this is interesting. So this is a classic range we get here from about 930 to 1050. That's the type of stuff I love. This base here of 28.10 coming up to 28.14. Pretty small range here, about 4 or 5 pennies. But if you take that with shares, not a bad look at all. Then we sell off a little bit. Bottom of this sell-off is going to be 27.98. Now we kind of curl to the upside, but look where we're falling off a little bit. That's right, 28.14. This is an interesting look. We had earnings for Pfizer on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, Josh Brown announces he's doubled down his Pfizer position. Wish he didn't do it while I was in a short, but other than that, shout out there. Lots of Pfizer longs getting a nice push up here. And Pfizer in general coming into kind of an area of resistance on the daily chart. That area being 28.25. So this could be interesting. A little bit of support. Not perfect, but around that area here, coming back into December, early December 2023. Generally, though, I think if Pfizer can break above that 28.25, not at all a bad look. Could get a little shot in the arm to the upside, a little bit of strength, and a bit of a hustle for those longs, so not a bad look there. But generally, yeah, honestly, a lot of my ideas here kind of falling to the wayside with that sell-off ranges I liked saying bye-bye. So NVDL, that was an L for me. I took an NVDL on that, took a little bit of a bath. TQQs selling off here as well. That being said, TQQs I have a better read on right now than my NVDL, and let me count the ways. So, it's not perfect. However, if we come back, if we rest, if we sit pretty right below VWAP there around the 5750 area, that was an area. I was happy to have that short earlier, but once you get to the 2750s, that's when the Qs march right back up to the upside. So if we do that, if we rest, I want all the smoke with the TQs at that level. And if we kind of have a bit more of a rejection again off the 2750, I might go short. I'm willing to play this in whatever directions. You know, go ahead, switch the style up. If you hate, let them hate. And watch
the money pile up?
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of money there, but a couple cents. That would be the good life. And that would be in the Dollar Club, to reference both of the major songs that line has been used in. Because, you know, we're about all the music over here. But yeah, I think it'd be nice music for my ears if we switch on the Qs. That being said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going on 6 red candles here to the downside for the TQs. It's about 12:30. I guess we should probably get that lesson going post-haste over here. But yeah, I mean, lots of things to take a look at here on these here markets. Happy to go down to NVDL where I did, but not happy I took an NVDL on it. So ready to find some other opportunities in these markets for sure. Pfizer people looking at. NVIDIA on a cliff. No, yeah, I think NVIDIA might have fallen off the cliff a little bit there, I have to be honest.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, market kind of pulling back, like we said, but picking right back up, back into this, back into some of these levels, back into the range there. So maybe a little bit of a grab there, but let's see how much time is left on this 15-minute candle to print. I got about 4 minutes left, so heading into the end of the latter half of that 15-minute candle print. We are pulling right back into some of these levels, so let's see where we go from there. Apple, I'm going to wait for VWAP. Let's see if that can come back in, but it did kind of grab. It didn't get too far below these day lows there, and then kind of picking right back up. So I'm not really watching the tape too closely here, and not as close as I'd like to, but again, maybe I should take a relook if it can get back up into VWAP there, as VWAP and some of these levels from previous day have been looking a little bit heavy, and now we're getting a little bit of that tailwind as well on the futures. So people were asking about Amazon. Now Amazon, I haven't really taken a look at Amazon in quite a while. So let's take a quick look at Amazon. I know it's near those all-time highs there, so quite an interesting look potentially here, pushing in towards those all-time highs. Now again, I think it was 188 and change, if I'm not mistaken. But let me just quickly make sure. 189 and change, 189.76 is all-time highs there on Amazon. And since earnings, we've been kind of on a steady bit of a bid right back up into these mid-80s, 180s there. So yeah, let's see what we got in store for us today. But nothing too crazy. Not really doing too much relative volume either. Pretty much shopping sideways in that in the range that we had off of Friday. So no real ideas or trades for me here on the Amazon. But it seems like this range trade on Friday was quite nice. Did it twice and then kind of just started to consolidate near the lower end of that range there. Attempted to break below today, but holding up on top of this 185. Quite a strong wick there. Now something else I did notice was look at this aggressive bidding back to back there. So we did have this strong flush off of the open. This 15-minute candle, if I remember correctly, was quite intense in terms of a bottom wick. You come into earnings, you pretty much lick the wick there, and you pick right back. You pick right back up off of the earnings reaction, and hold that 174, and starting to continue back up, making higher lows, now trading above that earnings reaction high, and also that FOMC high as well. So interesting look. What does it mean? I have no idea, but it gets the people going.
Every word in that, there was lick the wick might be the quote of the year. I don't know. TQs did a dance. I'm not gonna use that phrase, but the TQs did a dance here with VWAP. They're having a little bit of wicking action. I'll put it that way. Or as Sharif might call it, the wick shimmy dance. I'll do the dance as well that he does. I want to see what we did at 57, 60s. We're not breaking above them right now, so please just punch. I know I said I'd be watching what we did at 50s. I get involved around 52s here for that short, and then the Qs are like, oh, we're actually going to go up a little bit. Like, hope you don't mind. I mean, I do mind TQQs, I do, but you got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? Do your thing, 21. As long as we stay below the 60 area, and I say that 60 area because there was a little bit of chop and turn there earlier, bit of resistance, if you will. So if we stay below that area, support and resistance can flip-flop. So I have no problem with that. I do like what I'm seeing right now below that view up. I don't want to add to this position. I'm comfortable with the amount of shares that I have, but this is one that I want to get involved with right now. What else am I looking at? SOXL bounced off V1. I notice sometimes too, SOXL and the TQs can move in similar ways, and I think that's because they both have a lot of chips there. So this view up bounce on SOXL is beautiful, but we can't break above that 90 MA. So mother may I short this out of 90 MA rejection? I think I might have to. If we keep rejecting this, that might actually be a pretty nice look. I don't want to go long one of these TQs or SOXL and then short the other because I find that can lead to a little bit of trouble. But right now, I'm oddly enough thinking that the SOXL short might look better than the TQQ short that I'm actually in. So je ne sais pas. I need some time to formulate life choices. I'm happy staying in the TQQ short right now. I have no reason to leave. And patience, you know, P-A-Y, patience, as Bears vs. Bulls said in the chat in the past, you know, patience does pay, and patience, my lack of patience cost me some money here in this Palantir. Palantir, some people were mentioning this one, a nice look. Wow, have we held that range bottom, and I just have not been keeping my eye on it, so I'm a little disappointed in myself there. Look at this base at 2470. It's a nice look. I got a little bit bored and I got out, and it's like, Derek, you had no reason to leave that, man. So disciplining myself a little bit for that, but I mean, it's still a really nice look. I know, Sean, are you still long Palantir? Nice, so Sean is still long, Palantir, so he's still Palantir. I was Palantir and gone, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm not gonna steer Palantir clear of it as long as we keep that base, but yeah, this has been a nice one. And honestly, I just need to be playing this range more, and I can't keep looking at this and being like, darn, I should have played it. Just play it, Adair, like, come on, man. So a little bit disappointed in myself on that. I'm not Mamone. I do not speak French fluently. I have a couple phrases here and there. I wish I knew it better than I did, but yeah, I'll pepper in a phrase if it works. Why not? But yeah, Renata saying, "Oh, Obi here with the sunglasses, cool emoji." So
hey, thanks for joining us. Renata.
Yeah, thank you, Obi as well for filling in for Sharif there today. How are you making bank at TD?
No, TD is you know, I thought I was laughing straight to the bank, but. The bank is laughing at me right now multiple times over and over again, but it is what it is. Again, I kind of like some of the consolidations from the day before. I'm being a little cheeky fighting the trend there. But again, let's see. When the sells do come in, they come in quite hot and heavy. So I do want to kind of maybe look out for that. With the market coming in as well, I don't know how much of a correlation these banks have in terms of beta to the markets. But you know what? Actually, that's a good question. I will check that out right now. But yeah, no, I'm not really watching too much else. Again, like I said, I was looking for that Apple to come back into VWAP. Doesn't really quite do it. Comes up into this 182. Can't really make it that far. Martin Lawrence, thank you for the super chat, saying cannabis Fed meeting in June, July. Watch the cannabis stocks. Oh boy, okay, yes, no, that's what I said. That interesting volume expansion happening over the past couple of months in a lot of these cannabis names is quite interesting. We are building back up into some of those previous levels if you do look left, and yeah, maybe in anticipation for that for a potential Fed meeting. I have no. This is the first time I'm hearing about it again, but maybe something that I should be looking into. But thank you for that, Martin Lawrence. I will write that down actually. So. Yeah, Fed meeting in June, July. Again, with the whole thing about them not really classifying it as high as it was. Was
that a pun? As high as it was?
Sometimes I just do it naturally. I have no idea. But
nice,
thank you.
But
as high as it was in terms of a classification scale, yeah, cannabis coming back down on the come down potentially with the government classifying it at a lower level. I don't know what classification they're going to be giving it, but it seems like the volume kind of coming in anticipation is an interesting look, regardless of that. So yeah, definitely eyes on the cannabis names for sure. I don't know if it's really like an intraday thing. I think the way the chart's setting up might be a little bit more of a higher time frame kind of move if it is a few months out in June, July. But again, what do I know? I'm just trying to short TD against the trend, so that tells you enough about that. All right, so what else do we got on watch here? Let me take a look at some of these. Oh boy, Coinbase, hello, back towards the lows. So earnings day 2 we were talking about. Coinbase attempting to push day low. Yeah, it definitely is. Day lows, pre-market lows happening at 224.70s, only about a point away from that. This interesting consolidation end of day on day 1 earnings as well. Is it day 1 earnings? Yes, sir, it is. So yeah, so that holds in the pre-market. Now we're kind of reverting all the way back down to that level at that 224, 225-ish area here. So it might be an interesting look there on Coinbase coming right back in. But nice little pullback off of those highs there on an earnings day 2. Are you guys trading any coin? Let us know in the chat. Now that reminds me, what is Bitcoin up to? I haven't looked at Bitcoin in quite a while, and by quite a while, I mean the morning bus ride here in the.
so it's been like eras. It's been eons.
Yeah, I mean you never know. With the way that cryptos move, it could have shot up, shot down. Who knows? But yeah, the volatility when it does come in on the cryptos is quite aggressive. But it seems like what is this? When did this happen? So 10 a.m. ish, we did hold a previous low here on the Bitcoins, and holding what level is that? 62,900, so it's around 63, roughly, give or take. So nothing too crazy. Let's take a quick look at Mara. I know a lot of people are trading Mara today. Mara holding a very strong trend as of today. Shout out to Pat. He said he had a pretty nice trade on the Mara, and Mara continuing in the upward direction there as of right now, holding that 20 mark as well. So let's take a quick look at our friend Riot. Riot not really as strong. I always like to take a look at MSTR as well, as again these guys may or may not hold a little bit of Bitcoin in terms of what they do, but yeah, holding some of these levels above 1,200. Okay, all right. So kind of made it back up there after a strong little pullback. So I know that it got up to 2,000 printing. Look at those highs. 1999.99, so classic. A little bit of a 1 penny push off of that 2K, and then a nice little flush back down for 1,000 points to the downside. 50% retracement, it would seem, off of some of these lows here in and around that $100 level here on MSTR. So I guess Bitcoin not really doing too much, but some of these other names that are related to the sector definitely moving around here. So what was I looking at? I wanted to look at, the beta for TD. I should know this. I think it's pretty, point is 0.83 as of FinViz with an ATR of 1.1. So we've done a little bit over an ATR as of right now on I guess what you can call day 2 of the move. But again, a little bit of an outlier situation with that DOJ investigation, right? So we might get some moves that may continue for longer than expected. We saw what happened previous day as it sold off pretty much all day until the last hour. I think 240, that bid starts to pick up with that expanding volume on TD. And I guess another Canadian bank that was looking a little interesting was RBC. So let's take a quick look at the Royal Bank of Canada, RY, which also trades on the NYSE as well as the NASDAQ. Sorry, as well as, not the NASDAQ, the NYSE as well as the TSX. Yes. And I think I was like, yeah, I had it on watch because it was kind of pushing to the upside as of last week. And what is it doing today? Nothing too crazy, kind of a gap up, push back down into previous day's levels and holding sideways as of right now on the RY. So these banks, relatively strong.
Yeah, I mean, some nice bank strength there for sure. Hopefully you're able to bring that short to the, bring the bank in there. Take that one to the bank. My brain turned off there for a moment. Also, yeah, like I said, I can always tell when I'm tired because my trading gets considerably more questionable. And case in point, SOXL short. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like factually a thing. Like I can always tell because I start doing things that I am like outside of my body and then I'm like, why did you trade that way, girl? So I took that short here, which actually in retrospect, not a horrible look had I been able to scalp it more, but it wasn't giving you that. And I can't be like that pressed about this trade. We lost like, I think like 6-7 cents. I was risking here into that 40.75. We broke above, I got out. You know, can't complain that much. Tried to take the long on it when I realized we were bouncing. I was not unfortunately invited into that trampoline back to the upside, so that's all good. Guess I was too tall to ride, I don't know. But if there's another opportunity there, I will be taking that opportunity. TQ is coming back to high of days. Like, when was that happening? When I was in the long? No, I'm joking, it's all good. Sometimes, or no, I was short. I don't even know what I'm saying. I wasn't even long the TQs. So what I mean, tired, we're gonna have a little bit more espresso. We're gonna hopefully find, hopefully express, jolt some trade ideas into my brain. That was English, because I think that's what I probably need right now. I'm slightly down in the day, but like I said, never down on my spirits. This NVDL could get kind of spicy here. If we stay below that 9 EMA, my only qualm is that we're pushing higher on the SOXL, which is like NVIDIA's and NVDL's older aunt, I don't know. And also, we did have that very bullish candle here, where we had this wick down into 40.50 and then having it shoot back to the upside. So, shouldn't say paw, but I do think I see a short opportunity here. And I don't want to let that go. But I also don't want to rush into it because we mentioned the slowness of the brain. Also, though, we do have at 12:50 Fed's barking. So we'll have to see what he's barking about. Oh, yeah. Then we get Fed's Williams at 1 p.m. So those are two Fed speakers, definitely not to be missed. Tomorrow morning, though, I think is going to be the more interesting one. Neil Kashkari coming in at 11:30. We know he is notoriously a little bit more of a hawk and has said that he could see a no rate cut case for 2024. So we had Fed's Bowman last week as well, making a similarly cautious take, not ready to tie any bows on the rate cut case yet is Bowman, so that could be interesting as well. In the meantime, this NVDL short continues to get a little bit interesting for me, but be patient, Adara. Do not rush into trades, especially when you're tired. Should not have to tell myself this every day, but apparently I do, so that's all good. What's everybody looking at? If there's any cool opportunities, stuff I want to take a look at. What's the next resistance for Mara, says Sean James. Let's find out. So, I mean, for me, I think we're kind of at it. I'm going to be really honest with you, Sean James. I think we're a little bit at that next resistance, that 2080 level, right? We did have that kind of wick above here, then we go back to the downside around that, I don't know why I craned my neck there, it's just a chart, 2025. Then we come back up here, and we reject to the same level. So I actually think we might be at that resistance around that 2090. I want to see what we do here at that level. In the meantime, some coffee will be chugged, and some charts will be looked at for some new opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely have something to say about that. In terms of tiredness and maybe I definitely feel it when I have a lack of sleep. The decision making is definitely skewed a little bit. It goes to show you when you're trying to perform, you got to be at the optimal level. And if you do have the awareness to be like, all right, I'm a little tired. No, definitely for sure, you do want to be a little bit cautious with what kind of decisions you're making. I definitely personally do feel that way as well. When I'm on low hours of sleep, not really making the best decisions overall. But that's shout out to the chat for kind of pointing that out. Yeah, just gotta, sometimes you gotta take a breath, relax, kind of zone it back in, go over the trade plans, really figure out, okay, this is what I kind of planned in the morning. So that's what I'm kind of gonna stick with there. Apple trading back towards some of these lows there as the market picks right back up. So interesting, a little bit of a disconnect happening there. And I think, I forget who it was in the chat, if I can just find your name real quick, was telling me to take a look. Amir saying, Obi, look at Reddit, RDDT. Now that's a name I haven't looked at, I guess, a little bit closer since that IPO happened, since a few of those crazy moves in the first few days of that IPO, but hasn't really done too much, pretty much trading sideways since then, and holding, what is this, a little bit of previous day's highs here, it would seem, 49.83 is today's high. 49.63 is previous day high. So we are trading back below that. Not previous day high, sorry. Last Thursday's high. So last week's high. So this week, coming into the new week, we are kind of pushing back below last week's high. Let's see how far that move kind of comes in. But if you take a look at it, a bit of a trend happening off of since, what is this, April 18th, making higher highs and higher lows. Since then, let's see if we can kind of push through that 50 mark on Reddit. Now, what was the opening price of this? Let's see real quick. The open was 51.70 on IPO day, so just underneath that opening price on Reddit. Now again, we saw a lot of that volume kind of come in on day one, but day 3 and 4 were interesting as well. We kind of broke past those day one levels and pushed towards those highs. So now that we're trading back below it, back below 50, I don't really have too much on this, but maybe over 50 I might consider taking it a look. Now again, it's playbook specific, so it really depends on what your strengths and weaknesses are, what your playbook is in terms of kind of looking at some of these charts with different perspectives. So again, I'm still learning. I'm still on my journey, very, very early on in my journey to say, but yeah, I don't really know what to do with that Reddit, but it is pulling back a little bit there, back into on top of VWAP, interestingly, right there. So I guess the one thing that it is showing as of right now is that it is holding VWAP on the day starting this week. So nothing too crazy. GME holding consolidation near those lows. Hasn't really gone anywhere since the last time we talked about it. So let's take a quick look again here on the GME. So we were talking about it earlier on today. Again, we came on in and around 11, and we started talking about it into this consolidation, and it hasn't really gone too far off of this consolidation. A little bit of a wick dance off of this consolidation that we had previous day, but coming right back up into that 14. So again, definitely an interesting move happening there on GME. I guess the move was in the morning, and now it's really kind of slowed down quite significantly as the market pushes towards its highs. What do you guys got on watch? Netflix coming right back up. I was looking for a potential push back down into VWAP, but NFLX, and yeah, but no, it kind of bids right back up towards its highs, pushing that 593. 593 are the highs right now. It's trading pretty much right there. Again, with the market being that strong, seems like Netflix is one that can't stop, won't stop as of right now, holding that very strong trend. Again, we talk about what is the catalyst. I have no idea, but it's doing RVOL, and it is breaking out of a technical level. That earnings day one kind of that gap down that happened. Again, okay, so I'll pull it up and kind of show you what I'm speaking about. So this is the hourly right here. So this was earnings day one kind of action right there. You attempt to push it a couple days later, pull back down, and then now we're breaking out of that, kind of looking for a potential gap fill perhaps through that 600. We'd have to get through 600 into that 603, 604 for that really to come into fruition there. And the market, there goes the ES pushing back towards its highs, and market looking hella strong as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, with that in mind, I decided, Dara, stop trying to take counter trend shorts. Your brain is tired. Look at what the chart is telling you. Go long if you see a level you like. I don't know why all the excessive clapping, but I guess that's what the market was like doing to me. It was just like clapping in my face, like, get a grip, get involved. So right now, trying to get long at that area of resistance previously around that 57.75. We hold it up. I want to get involved. I want all of the smoke. If we break decisively below that level, again, we're going to probably kind of use the same areas for like these 78s. No, 68s. Then I'm okay with that. We're involved. Let's get it cracking. This might be a little bit overzealous, but hopefully it's the appropriate amount of zealous. And as I get involved, we drop like 10 pennies, which is cool. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have to get out of this if we break below decisively this area, which we are. Yeah, this has just not been my trading day. It's kind of crazy too. At one point, this was my strongest name of the day, the TQs. And then that's just what happens. You make questionable decisions, you gotta live with it. I wasn't able to get out of this nearly quickly enough because I get involved and it just sells off. And it's like, you know, I think one of the really humbling and important things too about trading in front of everybody is like, you know what? It's just, stuff's gonna happen. Stuff happens, it's the market. Took a little bit of an L there, but you know, as 21/7 says, take less L's, make more M's. Currently red on everything right now. Gonna be really real, but you know what? If we keep bouncing here, Who knows? Who says I won't get back involved? Sometimes you just have that move down. We do have Barkin speaking in a couple minutes. Maybe that's what the market reacted to. You just got to dust that dirt off your shoulders and keep on trading. Lost about 5 pennies more than I wanted to. I know I was reacting like that was like, you know, someone stole my puppy, but when you actually put it into context, it wasn't that bad. Took slightly maybe more shares than I should have, but we're still, you know, now we're bouncing off that area. So it's like perspective. We bounced off VWAP too. Like there was a lot of maybe confluence for me to have stayed in this trade, but you know what? I was a little bit, you know, maybe it was a little bit too frothy of a setup to begin with. There wasn't enough meat on the bones. There wasn't enough coffee in the latte. Someone has caffeine on the brain, right? So I don't know. I think there's always reasons a trade didn't work out, and this is one I'm going to have to reflect on. I'm going to be really honest about that. And I'm happy, honestly, got to have this trade in front of everybody here because it happens sometimes. And to quote Sam Smith, I know I'm not the only one. And you just got to go get those opportunities. That being said, I don't want to be scared off from it. If we keep bouncing here on 57.68s, go ahead and switch the style up. Take smaller trades, and yeah, that's what I'm going to do there. That was a little bit rough. Thank you, Gooby. You got this. I appreciate that. You got this, everybody in the chat as well. I'm like always so happy to be here. Happy to have Obi here as well, filling in for Sharif. So thanks again to you. Yeah, I'm just looking for some more opportunities. And again, going long caffeine because that's really, I think, the hero of the day for me. Maybe what's been missing from my trading plan. How are you? How's it going here?
I see that, I think, who's this, in the chat. Again, if I can scroll up, yeah, Bob Curran saying that, yeah, Soundhound is alive. Oh boy, is it. It's kind of trending to the upside quite strongly there. Again, breaking out of this this morning, I guess. Look at that volume candle, damn. Okay, so yeah, that volume candle coming in with that push through that $5 mark, and then you come right back in. Nice little trend back to the upside. Now we're kind of accelerating a little bit back down there, but yeah, it did kind of break out of this level just a few minutes ago, about 15-20 minutes ago there at that 1230 mark, and pushing towards those highs. So I'm not really too familiar with this chart, so let's take a quick look left and see what levels may be in store for this. But yeah, it's been selling off quite aggressively since that earnings push. Couldn't really get past that $10 mark there. You see that post earnings kind of trends up. Can't really get there. Strong selling. Maybe this has a little bit of news as well. I'm not too familiar, but we've been trending down since that. But take a look at that volume kind of coming right back in on just today, I guess, that strong volume and giving that push back to the upside there on Soundhound. So yeah, anybody who's long in the chat, good for you there. As it re-breaks that $5 level, a little bit of an interesting level, that $5 mark as well when it comes to stocks. But yeah, holding above that 5 as of right now. So I'm curious to know, this is a high volume candle that just happened. If we pull back, can we hold this area or not, which just happens to be right around that $5 mark on Soundhound. Yeah, saying as a face ripper, once it runs, it really runs. Yeah, of course. I think what's the float on this one? Okay, the float is quite nice, 260 mil. So yeah, I don't know if it'll rip your face off that hard there, but again, it depends on how much of the free float is actually floating around, to say in terms of how volatile it can potentially get on the day here. But yeah, so what else are you guys watching? I got the map open here as well. If I can just pull it up right here. So nothing too crazy happening. Pretty much everything is green except for Apple and Google. Maybe some consumer defensive stocks. Some Lilly green, but some of its other constituents in the healthcare sector looking a little green. Pfizer green as well. Energy going green. XOM, well, yeah, let's take a quick look at oil. I have not looked at XOM today, so that's probably a decent look. Is it doing any RVOL? It was in the pre-market, so let's take a quick look at that one as well. So how much volume was it doing in the pre-market? So, oh, okay, wow. So over... No, that's a 4 a.m. print, never mind. So nothing too crazy in terms of how much volume it did, but relative volume, it definitely did some. And we are trending up on the day here, potentially holding that VWAP with a little bit of a chop there as well on XOM. So potentially oil kind of bidding up. Let's see what else you guys got going on. They're saying GME going upwards is saying, what is that, RLA poured. Sorry if I can't pronounce your name effectively. Wow, there it goes, GME. Oh boy, look at that consolidation break through that 14. We saw that flat happening at that 14. I was like, okay, that's an interesting consolidation. You get right through it, starts to accelerate to the upside, 30 pennies right away. Okay, all right, so talk about a price action trade there through that consolidation high, and it's kind of being aggressive to the upside there. So yeah, maybe a little bit of profit taking as the shorts apparently have been paid all the way from 17 straight to the bank down through near that 14 level here on GME. Maybe we can get a little push back up into this VWAP here, VWAP being all the way at 15.13, maybe some of these previous highs. Again, a little bit of a break of trend, right? I'm sure if I throw on a moving average, I know I got a moving average on this one here, so let me pull it up, pull up GME on this one. Boom. So right there, yeah, so definitely a trend break, if there is one, happening on GME as that downtrend kind of breaks and starts to accelerate to the upside there. So again, pre-market lows, a little bit of a double test in and around, what is that level? I'd say about 14.8 to 14.7s-ish. So we're kind of pushing right back up into that level. So let's see if some of that support from the morning session in the pre-market session turns into a resistance as it has a little bit earlier in the midday today.
Yeah, so right now I got back in those TQs because I like that VWAP bounce. I like that area. And so I was like, you know what, Adara? Step back in. Don't be spooked out because you had a questionable trade the last time. If you still like these levels, what the heck are you doing here waffling, sitting around? Don't be waffles. Be pancakes, not in that you're trying to get flat, but in that you're trying to get a trade that you like and that you want to get involved in. And I think one of the biggest things, and I've talked about this in the past as well, and I know Neil's done at least one lesson of the day on it in the past, is you can't get spooked out because you had a bad trade in something before. And it's like if you want to get back involved, have a completely new mindset. To quote a singer that I have thoughts on, you have to have a blank space, baby. And so my blank space on this was just, I liked that these wicks here bouncing off VWAP. I liked that we were holding at the time the 90 EMA. So it's like, you know what? Yeah, I did mess up that previous trade for quite a few reasons. One of them being, why would I buy it near the top? But now you come back with a new mindset, a new way to go and a new approach. And that's, I think, what you have to do sometimes in these here markets. It might not go perfectly, but it's like if you have confidence in it. Now, you know, I talked about Seanfidence last week as well. You know, Sean was shouting this out as well. You have to have confidence in your trades. I think that's really key. It's like if it's a setup I like, I'm the one taking the trade. So I'm going to get involved. I'm going to see what happens. Lots of mentions of Disney, though. Manuel Palma asking about this 116 breakout, I do believe here. 116 testing highs. Okay. Disney, the House of Mouse getting very spicy here heading into
earnings soon, right?
Yeah, earnings tomorrow morning. So look, I know Sean's pressing that button, I'm sure, because I know he's involved in this name. But yeah, I don't think this is a very mini candle here, pun very intended. We had a bit of resistance as Manuel Palma was mentioning around that 116. We have this wick above, then we sell off. Now, generally, this is kind of a bearish look. But the candle hasn't closed yet. This is 5 minutes. We have 4 minutes for this candle to close. 4 minutes to save the world. Shout out to Madonna and JT. And let's see if we end up kind of saving the longs here with this candle. Because right now, this wick up looks a skosh bearish to me. So I also can't tell if it's a real wick or a dark pool, but looks like it could be a real wick here. We're going to have to wait and see what we do. This was resistance. And I mean, look at the support. This is gorgeous support. This could be an interesting level depending on how much we move on earnings. This could get kind of spicy, this support area here at, what is this, 115.35. I mean, look at this consolidation for an hour, basically, 11:35 to 12:25. Chop, turn, chop, turn, chop, turn. Like, it's like slalom skiing, just going in and out and in and out. And then we come back to this area of this 116, this acme that we're trying to break above. I think this could get really interesting. And I think, honestly, for me, I'm going to have to see where this candle settles. The longs might resolve this before we even settle this candle and we break back above here. But I think this wick, and the fact this was resistance, I think whatever move we get, we're going to get it with a swiftness and viciousness. Also, TQs. Okay. Got out half the position at that 74 breakout. This is where we're probably going to have to get the rest of this out here. I want to see 80s. I also am cognizant of the fact we might not. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this, watching, waiting, being patient. 2 more minutes left. Also, shout out to Day Trader Cut putting Fed's barkins, some of the things that Fed's barkin has been barking in the chat here. Given the strong labor market, the Fed has time to gain the confidence it needs to be sure that inflation will fall. So basically saying we don't need rate cuts right away, keeping that strong inflation market in mind. So not really, you know, not a super dovish type move, but like I said, I think we have another Fed speaker here coming in a couple minutes. We did miss that second lesson of the day, unfortunately, sorry about that. So we're going to get another lesson du jour here coming in hot in a couple minutes. TQQ's breaking above 57.80s. So these markets are definitely doing things, and breaking the bank, hopefully not here in this TD.
Not really working out too good right now. But again, I think I'm gonna stick with this a little bit longer there. But again, something I am looking at here, again, like I keep mentioning, is that Apple looking quite weak. Again, we talk about that the catalyst being how Berkshire sold off quite a. I mean, I think it was around 110 mil. Shares or something last quarter. They might be looking to sell some more as well, and happens to be on earnings day too that news kind of comes out again with their AGM meeting being over the past I think it was on Friday or Saturday, I can't remember quite well, but again, a lot of those like the video is up on YouTube there. I didn't see the whole thing. It's about 3 hours long, but I did see some clips off of that, and yeah, beautiful tribute to Charlie Munger as well. Rest in peace. But he was talking about how him and Charlie Munger kind of built Berkshire Hathaway, and how he was kind of like the architect of the company, and he was very grateful for meeting him in his life. So it was very nice, very heartfelt kind of a memoir to the legend himself. Charlie Munger. But yeah, no, Berkshire, which reminds me, Berkshire did do their earnings today. So let's take a look at what Berkshire is up to as of right now. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that. So yeah, we talked about that nice little bounce off of previous day low earlier on today, and it's kind of holding some of these highs there. So it's kind of just grinding back up towards some of these highs. What is this morning high right there, right off of the open? 404 halves. Roughly, and we are about roughly a point and a few pennies away from that opening price, range high as well. So maybe just stuck in the previous day's range as well, right? So you got that support from previous day happening on earnings day one, which is, I think, a little bit interesting. And let's see how far we can get away from some of those levels here on Berkshire. But yeah, no, that Disney move, oh boy, was that's kind of wild there. Holding that VWAP quite nicely a day before earnings, and it's doing a lot of relative volume as well, pushing up in towards some of these highs here. Let's take a quick look left as well to see if we can identify any stronger levels here. So okay, so kind of a strong sell-off here, 118, 117-ish area, sold off quite aggressively as well. Yeah, so nothing too crazy there. I thought maybe that might have been earnings, but that was not. This is earnings from before, and I guess we got to a high, a nice little double top action here at that 123 before pulling back into these 110s, and then yeah, kind of a volume picking up right into the going into earnings eve, right? Earnings eve is today.
Oh yeah, earnings eve. I like that.
So yeah, interesting action indeed.
Earnings eve, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, thank you, Alex Enzo. So I got the TQ trade. I got out when we broke above 40.80. That was just kind of what I wanted. I didn't want to overstay my welcome. Sorry, not 40.80. Now I'm thinking of SOXL. 57.80. SOXL, I got short. I like that we were rejecting that 40.80. I like that wick above here. If we break above that 40.87, which was that previous wick high, I'm going to have to say bye, because I'm not going to be in sync with the stock anymore. That's just really going to be the truth of it. But we're going to have to wait and see. SOX up, ready for action here on this SOXL, but we might take another SOXL on this stock. Yeah, this is SOXL and I have just not been besties today. For whatever reason. Let's look as well as PLTR, because I know some people were mentioning PLTR in that breakout. You can also catch PLTR earnings, Palantir earnings, with Sean and I after market close. Right, Palantir on the big desk. Oh, we had a breakout. Then we come back. We rest on 24.95. It's a nice look here for Palantir. I really like that. Also, I need to talk about just the lack of patience, the utter lack of patience that I had earlier in this. I had like the bottom of this range, and I just was a little bit bored and got out. And it's like, I need to stop doing that. And I'm only bringing this up, you know, not to continue to castigate myself, but really just to be like, Adara, you have to learn. This is a lesson learned. I had no reason to get out of this. It's not even like it broke below my stop loss area. It didn't. I was just being a Scotian patient. And so that's why I keep bringing this up, because it's like, I need to burn this image into my brain, into my retinas, and be like, just stay in the stock unless you have a reason to leave. And that reason can't be because you want to put something else in your side chart. Because I'm not going to lie, that was probably part of the impetus for Palantir. So you just got to be really real with yourself, and I think that's one huge part of trading. And that's why I was, you know, Sean will always shout out #real trading. I think that's really important. We are trying to give the real deal over here, not just Neil, but everybody over here. And so that's why I'm so happy to be part of this community, the chat, everybody as well. Palantir trying to break up above here. Feds Williams says the Fed is continuing to look to the totality of economic data. So I guess just saying, we did have that NFP that the market was reacting to positively, but Feds Williams saying, hey, not just one number, we've got to look at everything. So Feds Williams holding us to task a little bit there with that. Also, yeah, Mullen still moving higher here as well. I was mulling over Mullen a little bit earlier, and I kind of forgot about it. This is not bad. I think this might have been the area I was mentioning, this 50-40, and this 50-40 is still a base. This might, I don't know if I want to range trade Mullen of all stocks, but you know what? If I keep Mullen over it, at that point, it might just become a resident of the side charts. You know what, Mullen? I'm going to be now Mullen over you more up close and personal. If we come bounce off these areas again, a range trade might be had. Diggle Boy saying patience is your superpower. Yeah, it's definitely not my superpower, but it is the superpower for people who have it. You know, the best part is being here every day, hopefully something I can continue to hone and get better at. So go patience. Patience pays. Indeed, we're going to get that lesson started up once more again. But what are you up to right now?
I think people in the chat talking about BA, so I did pull it up. I think BA might have some news as of right now. Look at that volume coming into it. I have no idea, but yeah, volume coming in, breaking out quite aggressively on Boeing there. You know, Boeing's been a little bit in the news over the past couple of days. They have those, I think what they were talking about, like the whistleblowers and stuff. They have more whistleblowers kind of standing up, and yeah, so maybe with that, but again, going back to the chart, we did hold this earnings reaction high, this day one high there at around 178 on Boeing on Friday, and now we're kind of continuing to the upside here. So let's take a quick look further left to see what we got in store potentially in terms of levels of resistance here. And okay, so 180, 184, but it seems like right here, look at that, kind of a bit of a support for a few days there, in and around this 188 level on Boeing. So I guess it is kind of maybe potentially going towards that area, but I have no idea what this volume is coming in for. So I will stay, I guess, just watching on that. If you guys know what the news is. Okay, so the incredible Mr. Lib saying Boeing Starliner reportedly ready to carry NASA astronauts. Okay, wow. Okay, that'll definitely bring in a little bit of a bid there. So they got a vehicle that is ready to carry NASA's astronauts. I am assuming to space and to the moon as this move attempts its reach towards the moon as well, with this expanding volume coming in, going into that 183. So let's see how long this move kind of potentially sustains here on Boeing. But yeah, intraday catalyst apparently, according to the incredible Mr. Lib. But again, I don't have an article for it, so don't necessarily quote me on that one. I can get you an article. It is
for real.
Okay, all right, so Adara has the article right there. All right, so Boeing Starliner reportedly ready to carry NASA astronauts. Right, cool. All right, so that's what the volume is coming in off of. Fresh news, middle of the day, breaking through intraday highs with that volume. An interesting look. Let's see if that move sustains or not here on Boeing. But I think with that, we can get right back into the lesson of the day there, Dara. So we're talking about IPOs and SPACs today. Again, scalping at the open and direct listings as well.
Everything that is that you can list or SPAC or trade as it search begins. That's what we were talking about this week. And specifically, we are talking about scalping them off the open for today's lesson. So basically, why are these the type of ones we want to look at for this strategy? Well, the goal in general with scalping is going to be capturing small profits from quick price movements. And you definitely get those with the IPOs, with SPACs, and with direct listings. It's kind of going to be the bread and butter of these types of moves. So why these? Because you have that high volatility. These are going to be events. So I'm just going to quickly get out of Mullen because that did not work. There we go. We're out. But basically, yeah, I was just risking 10 pennies there. So high volatility is going to be really key here as well because these events will experience significant price fluctuations due to hype, uncertainty, or buying and selling pressure. So we saw ARM. ARM was a hugely watched IPO. That was the first IPO I witnessed. And I heard there was some definitely some fun trades there to be had on that one. I also did trade Reddit in the sim, and that was another one where it's like, there were definitely some opportunities to be had. And I think because those were both two examples of very hyped IPOs, but certainly things to watch there. There's also with IPO, SPACs, and direct listings the potential for large gaps because the opening price can significantly differ from the pre-market price, which can create immediate profit opportunities. So here are some key strategies you want to look at, and this kind of the ABCs, the hows, the who's who of this strategy. So first, you want to identify your candidates. Look at some highly anticipated IPOs, SPACs, or direct listings with strong pre-market interest, or even interest. You could see on Reddit. I know Obi was mentioning Reddit IPO or SPACs.
Yeah.
There's lots of interest on there as well sometimes.
Yeah, no, I can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
So I think, again, I've mentioned this before on the show as well, where there was a time where, like Adara said, in the pre-market, you would get a strong amount of volume on some of these SPACs, and those are definitely the ones I was looking at. With specific scanners as well, but yeah, no. Why is that? I think I eventually figured that, like on Reddit, it was being talked about the night before. So right off of the open, the 4 a.m. open, actually, volume sometimes would come in, taking it off of that $10 shelf and kind of pushing it and making it in play on the day. So definitely that morning volume and that morning relative volume as well could be an interesting look on any SPACs really. So maybe potentially setting up for something during the day. Maybe somebody knows something, but yeah, definitely pre-market volume is one to look out for.
Yeah, I appreciate that for sure. And I think too, Jay Lee's just mentioning DJT here as well. DJT was another hotly anticipated SPAC there. DWAC got de-SPACed, became DJT. So that's certainly, I think, another really interesting example, and that's one we should probably look at after here as well. But pre-market preparation, first you have your order entry. So you have to come up with order ideas, maybe to preset or buy at specific buy or sell at specific price points based on your analysis. Then risk management, of course, always going to be key. You want to determine your stop loss and take profit levels to limit potential losses and secure those gains. So then once you have all your prep ready, you got to be ready for the opening. So first, before jumping in, you have to observe the price action. And so as someone, I've traded 2 IPOs, both in the sim. Birkenstock, my plan was punch and pray. That is not a plan. I had no concept of price levels. I had no concept of price actions. Then Reddit, I had 2 trades on during its IPO, again in the sim. And the first one, I made it off levels, but it didn't work out. The second one, I had an even better sense of levels. We had opened a little bit longer, and I said, you know what? You got to get involved. And I think having levels that you like and getting involved in those bases is always going to be a stronger strategy, especially with something like an IPO, given the volatility inherent to these IPOs, to these de-SPACs and direct listing type situations. So I think that's pretty important there. Once you have those levels you like and you've observed the price action, you got to get ready to strike. Execute the trades. Based on your predefined strategy and the observed price action, you want to start triggering your buy or sell orders. And then you want to get a quick exit. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to run. So if you have, because scalping will aim for small, quick profits, you do not want to get greedy. You do not want to overstay your welcome and aim for long-term holds. Exit your positions within minutes or hours, depending on your strategy, depending on what you're going for, and depending on your plan, because you always want to make sure you have that plan. Now, here's some other things to consider. Volatility. Be prepared for rapid price swings. Volatility is one of the first things we mentioned in the slideshow. Important to remember, again, this is a hugely key thing to keep in mind. And so your stop loss orders and risk management are going to be crucial here. Liquidity, also important, because newly listed companies might have a bit lower trading volume, which can make it difficult to enter and exit trades. Spreads can be wide, and it's not like butter and bread and butter where you want that spread. No, you do not want a spread here in the IPOs. They make it very difficult to quickly exit the trades. And that can even be the case a couple days after. Like the spread on Reddit was pretty bad even a couple days post-IPO. Psychology is also really important here because scalping, and I talk about this a lot, like if I'm supposed to be in a scalping mindset and I'm not, that's when the scalps go awry. You really need to have that disciplined approach and the ability to handle the emotional roller coaster of short-term trading, especially in something as volatile as an IPO, SPAC, direct listing, etc. Additional tips are also worth noting here as well. So paper trading, really important. I was just mentioning being in the sim for my first IPO trades, which I think is pretty key. Before risking that real shmoney, you want to practice maybe scalping in a sim or the paper trading account to gain experience and refine that approach. Starting small is also pretty important. Begin with small trade sizes to manage your risk and build your confidence, and you always want to track your performance. You can maintain a trading journal. We actually had a week on that quite a while ago now on how to trade, to analyze your results, identify mistakes, and improve your strategy. Because scalping the open can be, oh yeah, there you go. You can check us out there with that QR code. QR code, not URL. I always do that. But scalping the open is an advanced trading technique that requires a solid understanding of market dynamics, risk management, and the ability to act quickly and decisively. And if you want to add a little salt-based sprinkle into your strategy, you might want to explore scalping indicators like moving averages, support and resistance, and volume analysis. So there we go. That's our lesson of the day here for you at 1 p.m. Also, FFTB mentioning some other comments coming from Feds Williams, basically not happy about these inflation levels. Barkin also saying that it's worrisome when monthly inflation prints come in higher. And I mean, we've certainly seen a heck of a lot of that as of late. Hopefully that TD Bank's getting lower though for you.
No, absolutely not. It just keeps grinding to the upside there.
So deadpan.
So
that hurt, OB.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But like I said. Okay, so but the short that I guess is working that I am not in is that Apple trade. Again, quite heavy off the VWAP there and pushing into fresh lows, 181 incoming on the Apple. So I guess I did have a potential the right idea there off of some of previous days' levels as it kind of grinds all the way back down into that 181 level there. But I have nothing too crazy there. Yeah, Soundhound is up 17%. Yes, but okay, Chef Joe saying SMCI is ripping faces off. Huh, interesting. So let's take a quick look at SMCI here. All right, so yeah, SMCI is, I guess it's trending to the upside there again, along with a lot of the other tech names. We know that Nvidia is holding its highs on the day as well. So yeah, SMCI quite strong as well. So in and around similar prices there on both these names, around that $800, $900 level. Let's take a quick look at the daily here as well to see what we got in store. So maybe a little bit of a gap happening here. Where is that low? That low is at 851. So 851 is that low. We're trading at 828. Can SMCI do that in a day? Oh boy, yes it can, as it has quite a range. I think I don't know off the top of my head what the ATR is, but let's take a quick look at what it might be here. So let me just search that up. SMCI ATR is 76 points. What have we done off of the open here into that high? So we've only done about 42 points off the open. So just a little above that 50-60% ATR on the day. Nice little strong trend to the upside happening on the SMCI. So yeah, apparently it is ripping faces off through that 800 as that 800 holds quite nicely in the morning session, and now we're trading about 30 points above those prices on SMCI. James Choi saying SPY is so short. Let's take a quick look at the SPY. All right, so let's take a quick look at the SPY here. What is the SPY up to? SPY kind of sideways. I was looking for that 515. It did get up there, only about 4 pennies off of that 415. Kind of breaking out, pushing through that FOMC high there at that 508. Holding that on Friday and continuing up, nice little grind up to make some fresh highs this week on the spider itself, climbing up that spout.
I like that.
AMC high a day. Okay, let's take a quick look at that one. Okay, so AMC, yeah, I guess it's pushing towards those highs there. It is doing relative volume as well. I don't know if that's because GME is moving around. We know that GME, AMC kind of, well, there was a time where they moved in tandem. And wow, that double top on GME looking quite interesting here at that 17.5 area there. So we did pull back into that 13.5 like we mentioned before, and then pushing right back up, but nowhere near that VWAP being right there at that 1524 mark. So yeah, let us know what you guys are trading. We'll take a quick look at that as well. Yeah, TD slowly grinding higher. Yeah, I know. I'm watching it. I'm watching TD slowly grind higher and eat into my I guess P&L. But we're not trading P&L right now.
No. Absolutely not. That's a huge thing I've had to learn because I was just getting a little bit in my feelings. Shout out to Drake, because I was like looking at it and I was like, oh, like TQs. Do you love me? Apparently not, because initially I was doing well on those TQs, and now they are a name that I'm down on. But it's like, I liked the trades I took, minus the more kind of sleep-induced trades we took right there. But basically, most of these trades I liked, and even this last TQ long, I gotta say, I'm not disappointed.
Are you short?
With it.
Oh, nice.
Sean's short Apple 188.
Yeah, we finally broke through that 181.
Oh, okay, nice.
Nice trade.
But yeah, so these TQs, I tried to get long here at that 57.70s, risked about 5 pennies. We initially were bouncing off that VWAP. We stopped bouncing. We V-stopped bouncing at VWAP. So I had to get involved. Now we started bouncing again. So it's like, I think the biggest thing, these markets can be very bamboozling, right? You just have to accept that. You have to roll with the punches. And I think that's certainly been a thing today. These markets are certainly acting like I am Rocky, or they're Rocky, because they keep punching me in the face and winning these boxing matches. But it's like, you just got to get up. We have to see if we're going to fly now on the SOXL. Shout out to Rocky. But we're about 10 pennies in the money on this, 9 pennies in the money. But I like the setup too, because I did notice we have a little bit of a flat top break situation. I wanted to add more shares if we got to 40.60s. We didn't. That's okay. I'm happy with the position we had. I think we probably need to slow back from that share size and just get involved in stuff we like. I want to see us continue to grind higher. Initially too, this is another example of the bamboozlement of these markets. I got short 80s, and I said I was going to give it to this 87 area. We broke above, I got out. The second I get out, it continues to be a short. So it's just really funny sometimes how these markets will try to get in your head. All you have to do is adhere to your plan. Because just as easily as, it keeps going, like you get out and then it keeps working, it could easily also have gone up like another $1 on me. Do you know what I mean? So that's why risk management is so important. It can make you a little bit sad. You can, cry tears into your pillow. But crying tears into your pillow is way worse than, or is not as bad as losing your account. You know what I mean? You have to be careful. You have to be cognizant as well of everything. Volatility is your friend, says Diggle Boy. Yeah, I mean, that's something I'm trying to get more used to. SOXL, we're going to let you run a little bit here and look at pins here for Manuel Palma. Let's see if this one's on pins and needles. I traded this a couple times last week. Not very successfully. I always forget this one's on the NY. But yeah, there were a couple levels of Pinterest for me last week. That 40 area bouncing around. Is there anything I'm Pinterested in here? Oh, okay, this is a nice look. Manuel Palma saying 41 breakout. I mean, we're pretty decisively below 41 right now. I have to say, I would say break that high of day first, then worry about 41. We are bouncing on that 9 EMA very nicely. We've been holding this for the past 20-ish minutes. Then we did have that beautiful bullish candle coming down to 40.65. Oh, no, we're not. We're coming back to 40.75. So I think the pin certainly trying to poke to the upside here. That was not the pun of the day, but that's fine. This 41. I'll put it this way. Manuel. I think if we break 41, I think it's going to be pretty vicious. But we've had 1, 2, 3 post-earnings days of this inability to close above 41. I think once we break above, or if we break above that bull flag we have in the intraday, then we get into that spicy 41 area on the daily chart. I think because this is such a key level on the daily and also a previous level of resistance going back to February 8th, I think this breakout has a lot going against it, but I love an underdog story. And I think if we can break above it, it'll be a nice level. One last thing I want to look at. A couple people are asking about Mara. I know Mike, I think in the chat, wants to see the daily chart, so we'll look at that. But just in time, saying, think Mara does its thing 21 today? And I mean, I love puns, and I think this level, this is what I know people are looking at. I want to see if it breaks above this, this 21. And I think, ooh, okay, you know what? I have a couple things I want to note. Look at this. I said for me, the biggest area of resistance at the time was going to be that 2085. We break above it and then some. Now we're resting on it. We're resting on the 90 MA. We're resting on that previous area of resistance around that 2080, 2085. You know what? I think Mara can do something for you. I think it can do its thing 21. And I think it can wrap a rich flex if it breaks above this 21 level. I have to say, all puns aside, I think even on a technical basis, I really like this. And again, not advice, just my take on the chart. The fact that this was an area of resistance we had some trouble getting above earlier, now we're resting on it as support. We're resting on it on the 90 MA. And let's look at that daily again as well for Mike in the chat. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad look. In all honesty, I really don't. And I said earlier, I want to see what we did at 21 on the daily because that was the April 2nd high. So I think that could be an interesting area to break above. Also shout out to Brendan for the brief cameo on screen there. But I think this 21 area, I think there is some support and some confluence for that breakout. Also SOXL. Speaking of things doing things for you, please punch about my SOXL. Happy that can finally be a SOXW based on just taking trades I really like. And I think the biggest thing is, as Cindy Lauper says, don't be discouraged. Find your let your true color shine through. And I think that's why, just trying to continue to be bullish on positivity has always helped me in these markets. How are you doing?
Just again, looking for that next trade here. We talked about Apple kind of potentially coming back in. Hasn't really done that yet. Just continues to kind of sell off there. Really, not really looking like the futures here. Again, we know that Apple's been slightly, maybe potentially disconnected there, but Nvidia holding up quite well, and so is I guess SMCI. We're looking at some of those tech names as well. But yeah, no, market holding up quite nice there. 18.1, kind of just chopping around this 18.1 here on the NQs, and again, pretty much well within that range of the morning session here on the ES as well. So it hasn't really gone too much. People still talking about Boeing, so let's take a quick look at Boeing. Boeing continuing to the upside there as it's having another leg up. Through that, so I guess we're really liking that news that's been happening here on the Boeing and pushing up into this 183.40 as of right now is the high, and look at that volume coming in as well. So taking NASA astronauts for a ride there as it kind of pushes up on the day there. Are NFTs a thing again? Asking Darwin and. Talking about MI. What is MI? I'm not really too sure what MI is. NFT limited. How much volume is this thing doing? Is this doing any sort of volume? Nothing really. Average daily volume 133, but yeah, I have no idea, dude. But it seems like previous day, oh wow, look at that. Look at that RVOL that happened on Friday on this ticker. That's very interesting, and now we're pushing some fresh highs there. What's the float on this one? Okay, yeah, no, definitely no 600K float. So that's not my cup of tea at all. Again, the volatility and the manipulability of the ticker not really being my cup of tea there. As small floats definitely can be manipulated quite aggressively without that much dollar volume. So not really my thing, but yeah, I like the large caps. I like apparently I like fighting the trend as well as this TD continues to bid right back up on the day. But yeah, let us know what you guys are trading, and we can take a quick look at that as well. Mara 21 now, so I guess Mara continues to go up. Wow. Okay, so yeah, no, it's not really too many fresh highs on the day, but it is kind of coasting and grinding in and around the day highs here at 21. Yes. So Mara quite strong on the day. There goes Apple, more legs to the downside. Shout out to Sean for holding on to that short there. That's something I could have definitely done here on the Apple trade off of some of those highs there. But you know what? Maybe I should take that off of my screen there as Apple kind of, it is flushing down. Let's see what we do with that 180 as well. So 180 being a little bit interesting on the Apple. So let me just pull it up here so we can take a look at it together. Pull it up on a 15-minute here. Make that a little bigger. Okay, so that 4 a.m. kind of low is in and around that 180. We're headed right into that. So maybe bigger picture reversion happening here overall, and pulling back into some of those highs. So let's take a quick look left, see where if we can find any sort of support or resistance here. You can see that maybe this 178 could be a little interesting. I don't know if we'll get there today, but yeah, looking a little bit further left, this 180 area has been interesting over the past couple of months, and since that previous earnings report as well. We've kind of held that 180 until we really didn't, and then we flushed to the downside, 167s, 164s as well on the Apple. So maybe can we get to this 180 potentially? I did have that short idea in the morning. Look at that 15-minute wick coming right off the open. A little bit of a strong selling happening there, and then we can't really hold any of those levels, and we trek down to the downside quite in a grindy fashion back to the downside. Nice and slow, methodic movements there. Little disconnected from the market, as I mentioned before.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good look. Hopefully the TD doesn't get too tedious. That would certainly, no, I know it's a pun, but in all seriousness, you know, hopefully that you do bank on that trade. Also, Mara, I did get involved in Mara long, which I'd like to address. This was, like, was it the choice of my life? Je ne sais pas. However, I said that really loudly, apologies. It was not, I don't see this as completely a FOMO because I did see levels I like. This type of top returns is stuff I like. I liked that we were resting here at that previous area. And I want to take this up into that continued movement around 21. I want to see what we do at 2077s, which is that kind of previous area here. To my knowledge, at least from what I've been watching, we haven't even broken below 2080s yet, so I'm happy with this right now. Kind of tried to piecemeal into this position, much like the market is grinding. I want to chop and turn my way into this position. Looks like this is probably not going to work out for me, but you know what? I'm comfortable having this for now until we break below that level. It looks like Mara wants to run in a marathon to the downside without me, but you know what? This is what I get, you know, for getting involved in this as or after we had that movement. It was something I liked, so I wanted to try it. Also, CJ, the day trader, was asking, you know, what does RVol mean? So it's relative volume. It's, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's when you have volume, it's volume compared to other volume you have in the day. So if you have a lot of RVol compared to previous day's volume, there's a lot of interest in the stock or the asset in that day, I think, I believe that's.
No, yeah. More than normal. Like,
yeah,
relatively more than normal. So it's like, relative volume depending on how much of a period you put on it. It'll just measure previous bars or previous time frames for that period and tell you, like, okay, well, we're doing X amount more than we normally do, which can kind of give you some direction in, like, okay, there might be more interest in this ticker than it normally trades, and that's kind of confirmed with the volume. There goes Apple right down into that 180 halves. With that, there's a bit of size also on the ask right underneath that 150 as well. So let me just throw that size filter here on the Apple. So kind of Buddy's kind of gone now. I don't know if it got filled, but okay, no, it did get filled. 48s had some size there, but yeah, got filled and kind of pushing right back in. So yeah, let's see. We'll see where Apple kind of stops there. Don't really want to punch into the lows here as it kind of continues to the downside on Apple with that volume kind of coming in as well. So let's see. What's Havana Woody saying? Chill. Ponzi Fonzie saying, chill with the ads, bro. Seriously, thank you. Yeah, I know. Havana Woody saying, cover your shorts on Mara. Why is Mara continuing to the upside there? Not really. 21 is that high as of right now, and we are pushing above that VWAP as well. So 21 holding as resistance as of right now. So Mara, but again, it's trending very strongly on the day. So again, I have no opinions on that. But yeah, so yeah, Joseph, welcome to Trader TV. So we got a new subscriber there. Good stuff shorting. PLTR needs to hold this 25 level. All right. Let's see what you're talking about. Who's saying that? The real Polka trainer. Okay. All right. So 25, yeah, I mean, look at it. It's quite strong on the day. Again, earnings eve, it's breaking out of Friday's highs as well. Look at that aggressive action, holding the VWAP through the pre-market and off of the open there. Look at that 15-minute wick right off of the open. So a nice little bid, bringing that right back in. Now we're pushing for high a day there on the Palantir. How much volume is this thing doing on the day? So it is doing over almost 2 RVol there. So definitely, and the RVol indicator that I have on right now telling me that right now this bar is doing over 3.7 RVol. So doing a decent amount of relative volume. As some of you just asked, what does RVol mean? Relative volume, just the average, how much more versus average volume is it doing given the period that you specify for the indicator.
Thank you for going over that there, Obi. Also, so I did, my marathon run ended. I did not complete the marathon. Okay. I did not medal. Instead, I fell asleep in a heap in the side of the road. No, I'm joking. Like, honestly, as dramatic as that metaphor was, I just used it because it's marathon digital. But yeah, I did get out of my Mara long. And you know what? I got it where I wanted to. I can't be that upset. We broke below that 77s. I said, bye-bye. So I did. My marathon did end. We continued to break a little bit lower here. And you know what? I said, like, I did like the support area, but I was cognizant of the fact that we did have a lot of hype in that name. So I guess I bought into the hype a little bit too much. Literally, I did buy into this hype around 21, and I ended up paying for it. This is my weakest name of the day so far, and I am, like I said, this is not my best trading day, down in everything right now, but always just bullish on learning and opportunities and ready to keep going. Not even, like, honestly, I'm not down that much. I'm down, like, less than if you bought, like, a Starbucks and a sandwich or whatever, drinking a sandwich at Starbucks. So proud of myself for just trying to minimize that risk. And again, I appreciate Obi mentioning this earlier too, because this is something I'm trying and mostly failing at, but trying to get better at, just not trading on P&L. If you see something you like, just get involved, right? And so I think I've been trying to do that. Now, the bigger issue there is, well, are the things you're getting involved in good or conducive to positivity? And I don't know if that's necessarily true, right? I did sleep for a lot of the weekend, which is why I think I am a little bit more tired today, but we are drinking some caffeine. We're getting ready to make those trades, and I do like this Tesla here. I'm getting involved in Tesla, or TSLL is my way of playing TSLA. I do like the stutter step to the upside off the 9 EMA. I want to get some involved here at 837s, and if we can get 836, I'd be pleased as punch. I do not think we're going to get that, but I do have those orders ready just in case. Also, this Snapchat. I don't know why I was thinking about Snapchat, but I was, and it looks like this was a good day to think about Snapchat, and why wasn't I thinking about it earlier? We have this nice little range area here, this 1638 all the way up to 1648, about 10 penny range. Then we break up to the upside, rest here, and continue to push higher. This chart looks very similar to Palantir in some ways. So both of them having their moments. Palantir, I still think could be a long if we come down and bounce off that 2495 area. Not a bad look for me personally, but I did stay clear of this earlier because I just had some poor decisions making inspired by my lack of patience. But if this still comes back here at this 24.95, this is a look that I like, and I do want to get involved indeed in that stock. Yeah, Tesla right now though, I want to try to wrestle with Tesla. Not sure if I'm going to. Trade Trader Cut saying that they have their P&L turned off. That's actually maybe not. I don't know, because I guess like that would make you focus then really just on if your strategies are working. Which is not, I mean, like the thing is too is we do have a shutdown, which is why I'm a little bit more cognizant of P&L. But I see what you mean. It's like you really want to focus on if your strategies are working and if you're adhering to your risk and rewards. That's an interesting look there. Let's look at XPEV as well here for Vinayak. Yeah, I have to say, basically flat on the day. Despite some, I think, some up and down moves earlier, I have to say there's not a lot I'm seeing right now in XPeng other than these moves kind of off VWAP, giving you about 3 pennies. So I have to say not a ton that I'm seeing in XPeng. Let's take a look on the daily chart for XPeng, see if there's anything that pings our interest on XPeng. Yeah, I mean, we kind of came off that 950 area that was a little bit of resistance earlier. But I have to say, at that point, I'd be kind of grasping for straws. I'm not seeing a ton that's pinging for me on XPeng at this point, I have to say there. But yeah, I think in terms of the intraday, just to go back to that a bit, we're still bouncing off VWAP. It's not a bad look at all, but it is kind of barcode-ish, and we are making slightly lower highs here. Generally, though, the trend on the day for XPeng is going to be very compressed, getting tighter and tighter. TD, how is it going?
No, I'm not really watching TD too much here, but I did bring up that Tesla that you did mention there. So it is coming right back up into VWAP there. And interestingly, again, you look at previous day highs there, and it's kind of confluencing with that VWAP. So we attempted to push through it and didn't really get too far. Let me take this indicator off the screen. So we can get a clearer, much better perspective here. So, okay, so you can see that this level has been a little bit of a resistance level here. So it was support on this day, Monday 29th, and then kind of pushes right back up into that 200. We attempt to push that 200, can't really make it that far, and then look at that. Once we get below that, it's 186, can't really hold. On that FOMC, you have that strength that really pushes up a lot of the market. That 186 still holds. Next day coming in, can't really get there, but that pre-market high still holds. Next day, again, Friday, that area still holds, and then now we're getting that little bit of a push into that 186 and pushing right back down as well. So it's holding quite well underneath this 186. Let's see, we are making relatively higher lows on top of this 178 as well. So yeah. Not really too concerned with some of those lows, but again, I like this look here. If it is gonna confluence with VWAP in and around this 185, 186, maybe potential VWAP continuation, selling continuation there. You can see how strong. Let's go down to a lower time frame here. Let's go to 3 minute. Actually, we'll go to the 1 minute here. I know a lot of people like to trade on the 1 minute, but yeah, look at that. Once it does break down the VWAP, this range high, this kind of trend break as well, it can't really get above VWAP, and now we're consolidating in and around VWAP. So let's see if we get more of the same here. Maybe looking for a potential break of this short-term trend. What is this volume there as well? So about 1230-ish. We've been trending right back up into VWAP with a nice little reversion happening there. So interesting look there on TSLA, but yeah, that 185.40s-ish. Let's see if that can potentially come back in and act as a bit of resistance here. So previous day's high as well, 184.70s, is that correct? 184.78 being previous day high on the Tesla. But yeah, I don't really have too much else. I'll continue to watch Tesla a little bit here. Let's see if that can come in or not off of that 185, not necessarily off of VWAP, but again, I'll be watching the tape here on my other screen to see if that can potentially come in. But yeah, let us know what you guys are trading, man. I'm not really looking at too much. We talked about a lot of those. There's a lot of earning day twos from Friday, and then there's only a few earning day ones as well. Let me quickly pull up that earnings chart as well. Let me just go to that window real quick. That's not the one. But yeah, no, if you guys are trading any earnings day one or day two names, feel free to mention them in the chat, and we'll take a quick look at them as well. So, okay, so here we go. Let me look up the earnings calendar. So today we had Spirit Airlines, SAVE, we know that one. So let me just pull that one on. Save, okay, so Save has been trending to the downside. What else do we have? BNTX. I know a few of these I didn't really keep on my radar because they don't necessarily do a lot of volume in general, and some of them, they only do volume on earnings days. And by volume, I think my criteria is it's got to be doing at least a couple of milli for me to really be interested. We know TSN definitely does some volume as well. So let's take a quick look at that one, TSN. Okay, wow, so holding that VWAP quite nicely. We talked about this earlier today, but again, the move was, I guess, in the morning session as it cracks some of these lows as well. So interesting look there on the TSN. And what else we got? We got BCRX. You know, I should be pulling up the volume bar or the volume thing as well. So Average volume, doing volume today, 6 million. Yeah, that's not too bad, but it's a $5 ticker. So in terms of dollar volume, maybe not as much as I would like it to have. What do these guys do? Jill, Jones, Lang, LaSalle. Yeah, not doing volume at all. You can see it's average 30-day volume, 250, and then what is it doing today? 235. So even on earnings day, it's not really able to do more than its average volume. So not really something that I am too interested in as of right now. Same thing with this one. What's a Bowler Pro? Oh, interesting. So this one has been doing some nice volume. Bolero Corp. Bolero Corp. Thanks, Raveen.
It's just like Bolero.
Is this like Bolero, like the car company? Like, or
I think it's like bowling. Yeah.
Oh, it's like a bowling. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so yeah. So definitely striking out on earnings there, as all the pins fall. Look at those candles fall to the downside. They're right into to the downside, holding that 10 level there, but that volume coming in as well. So interesting little action there. It is doing some volume on the day. 3.6 million. Again, when an average 30-day volume is 740K, so it doesn't really do too much. But if you look, again, we talk about the relative volume. Look at that, right there. That's the number there, relative volume. So doing thousands X in the pre-market. Obviously, it doesn't do too much in the pre-market, but doing 50 to 30X. Coming into about 12 times this RVOL on this 5-period RVOL indicator that I have going on here on this screen. So definitely something potentially on watch there for Bolero, but wasn't really part of my my names. I had Save, I had Berkshire, and I had TSN. Berkshire, we talk about, like, I missed that 400 bounce. That 400 bounce quite clean off of previous day highs. There goes the market. Market's pushing for fresh highs there, or attempting to push for fresh highs. And Apple's still kind of holding relatively weak there. So let's take a quick look at some of these constituents here to see what is going on. We'll do a quick run through. Oh, there it goes, Softy. Oh boy, Softy to the upside. Take a quick look at that one. All right, so Softy, quite aggressive and strong to the upside there, making some fresh highs. We talk about what is that? That's VWAP. All right, so so VWAP holding 408. So okay, so let me just take this off and let's take a quick look at what I've been looking at on the Softy over the past couple of days. So earnings comes in to 388. These 388 lows, they hold in this pre-market session. We get that FOMC shake and bake reversion man on block right there, and comes right back in, holds that level. Interestingly, confluenced in and around that 400. Now we're just slowly trending up above this this shake and bake that we had, which is kind of an interesting look. So we got that nice pop and grind on Friday, and then it is continuing that move into 411s. What are the highs of earnings right there? 424, and the earnings day high, intraday highs, I guess, in and around that 415. Let's just take a quick look at the daily chart here real quick to see what that earnings high actually was. That earnings high. Am I looking at the right chart here? Yeah, I guess. So 399 is, so 400 was that earnings high, and we are kind of trending above that there on the Softy. So interesting look there. Okay, so that's what I mean. Okay, so earnings reaction was very aggressive. The day high in and around that 400 there on Softy coming in. Let's see what we got in store for some of these tech names. We know that last year was quite interesting coming into this first quarter. See if we get that continuation of the move. I have no idea, but looking quite interesting. NVIDIA pushing back towards that 1,000 mark as well, and futures back above that 18. Who would have thunk? But holding that, I think that 17.8, 18,000. Now we're pushing right back up to that 18.1 right now. So let's see how sustainable this move is. Here comes TD back in for that for a potential flush. Let's see if we can get that VWAP down in 55.30s. But like I said, that when that selling kind of comes in, it does come in quite aggressively. So It is an interesting look there, interesting levels as well. If you look back on the chart, what this 56 area might have been on day one of that earnings news. So we did kind of break below trend. Let's see if we kind of continue to hold this trend to the downside, or hold the trend to break, or we reclaim the trend. I have no idea, but it finally seems to be starting to potentially work here on the TD.
Yeah, so yeah, not too tedious anymore, hopefully, there on that TD. I'm going to keep reusing that pun. I can't believe only 13 minutes left to go in the show. Hopefully you guys had a very happy Monday. It was a bit of a manic Monday, as Anthony Kerr was putting in the chat. Shout out to the Bengals. But yeah, right now, the SOXL, I have to say, has me smiling. I got involved when I saw that bounce off the 90 MA. I took out some and I said, you know what? I only have a scintilla of shares. I want a few more. So I added in here at 40.90. Was it the decision of my life? Je ne sais pas. But am I going to regret it? No. I mean, I'm happy with what I did. I'm happy that I took the impetus to add when I saw that we were holding that 90 for the time being. I want to get some more out at 97. Yeah, 97's here. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that, but we're going to have to wait and see. If we stay above 80s, I'm going to be staying in. It looks like SOXL is like, oh yeah, we're really going to test you in that, because I'm going to test at 80s now. I'm like, okay, SOXL. Stay chill. But yes, you definitely got to pull the socks up and get ready there to see what SOXL is going to have to give. Hopefully it doesn't sock me in the face there in SOXL. We're going to have to wait and see. Also, thank you, Obi. When you were doing your earnings recap, I remembered Save. And I liked that we were bouncing off the 90 MA. And so, you know, we had saved before the bell, not saved by the bell necessarily, but saved before the bell. And I did want to get involved here. I was initially at another order out 325s, realized we weren't getting it, canceled it. Couple pennies in the money here, literally a few pennies. It is not like the trade of the world or anything, but I'm okay with it. I want to see what we do here coming into that 334. I don't know if we'll get it. I don't have a huge size here, but I have enough size that it makes sense to trade, because this is a stock that is a little bit less and moves a little bit more, I guess, slowly. So let's see how Save goes. Also, there's something else I was going to look at. Lucid moving up, says Darwin. That's what I wanted to look at. I was involved in Mullen earlier. I spent some time mulling over an entry. I guess I didn't spend enough time mulling over the entry. Lucid getting ready. Lucid's tonight. And yeah, I mean, we'll have to see if this one can lucid dream and make a move past some of those past issues there. We know that you have funding from Saudi Arabia, so we're going to have to see what Lucid does. We had a couple pushes past that 289 area, then we decisively break above, now into 294. Let's see, it'll be interesting to see what we do around if we get to 3. But I think those earnings are going to be, of course, an interesting turning point there for Lucid. Let's take a look at Mullen as well. I know Sean was involved in this name. I took a short, I mean, the long, was it like the trade of the day? No, but I'm happy with how I executed it. Looks like had I just been a little bit less conservative with my stop, we would have been fine. But even then, it's like, Adara, how much would you have been really making? This is the definition of shop and trade. This isn't even a range at this point. This is like breathing. It's like 1 cent, another cent, right? This is like, okay, let's look at, this is a Mullen trade. This is the Mullen trade here. Sean, no Mullen over that. I mean, mulled wine, nice look there. That's nice.
Why do you think we were sitting right here?
Because we tried to break it above earlier and then we couldn't. And that was the level. Am I right?
Nice.
I was out on a walk.
He was out on a walk.
So you had the order sitting there. Damn. A little bit of failure to follow through.
Confidence. That's where the confidence comes in.
That's straight up confidence. Yeah.
He just, Sean concurs.
You'd heard about it. Now you get to see it in real life. Yeah.
You do to see the confidence there. Also, Save decided to break down a little bit there, so I might have to save myself and get out. We're gonna have to wait and see here. We haven't broken below the 325 level, but we're gonna take a look and see. SOXL working out for now. It looks like that won't be an L. Save. Will we save it? Let's figure this out. Mullen, though, still kind of rangy. Yeah, I don't know if I had the confidence to pull this off, but I'm always trying to figure out my confidence levels, and I appreciate Sean for mentioning that as well. That's something I've been definitely working on and being more confident in my entries. I don't have the confidence, but I could have my own kind of confidence and get involved here. PLTR earnings this evening, says Dustin Goshenor. Let's take another look at that quickly. Palantir. It's pretty tall and clear. We want to break above that 25.10. Couple wicks there of rejection. Let's see if we can break above that with a viciousness there. But generally, bouncing off that 90 MA, man, I missed this opportunity. I will beat myself up for a bit, but not because I'm trying to hate on myself, just because I'm trying to learn. It's like, Adara, you didn't even break below your stop loss. You just need to be more patient. Also, Tesla, $3 club for Elon. Shout out to you. That's a great look. Tesla, though, coming a little bit into that previous resistance earlier today of that 185.50. That was an area Sharif and I were talking about a little bit last week. So Tesla might be struggling here. Enjoy your $3 club winner, though. Shout out to you, Elon, living up to your name there in that Tesla trade. What are you looking at right now, Obi?
I was just looking at the chat, and I think I saw a pretty funny comment by Lolo here saying that the market's doing a seahorse pattern. We're going to do a leg up into the close. That's pretty funny. Yeah, no, there goes the spider. 515, we were talking about that 515 earlier today, so we are knocking on the door of some of those highs, and as you guys can see, the ES and the NQ kind of pushing for those fresh highs. ES kind of making it a little bit earlier than the NQ there, but yeah, that 515 coming in on the spider. Very strong trend after that Friday. So Friday we kind of dipped down into those 508s we talked about, and then kind of a nice little grind up, and that continuation happening as of right now on the SPY. So let's take a quick look at some of the top constituents before we leave you guys to the big dogs at the big desk there. Yeah, let's take a quick look at Softy. So Softy pushing fresh highs as of right now, 412 coming in. So yeah, Softy kind of pulling that market up as well. Take a quick look at Apple. Apple, we know that it is kind of near its lows, but maybe a potential bounce. Look at that. Oh boy, look at that right there. So that 4 a.m. a little bit of a low comes right into that area, that 180-ish, 180 half-ish, and catching a little bit of a bounce. Is it a real bounce? Who knows? It's still within trend on the day, so I have no idea. But let's take a look at the next one. Goggle pretty much sideways, not really doing too much on the day there. Nice little ranging action there. Amazon, let's take a look at what you're up to. Amazon, nothing too crazy there, but it is holding these lows from previous day. And again, that's a little interesting of a consolidation there that holds near the highs. Again, FOMC, we talk about that nice little shake and bake that we had last Wednesday. And look at that, nice little consolidation near those highs, holds that and then takes another leg up. And now we're holding some of these lows on the leg. So that all-time high potentially coming in as we are building up, making those higher lows into that level. We talk about this wiki action making higher lows as well, pushing up into those all-time highs. So kind of the top constituents. I know I'm forgetting some, but we can take a quick look at Tesla. I know that one's up there as well. Tesla still pushing towards those highs. We talk about that 185, 186 level earlier. It comes right into it, and now we're catching a little bit of a sell here. How much time is left on that 15? Got about 4 minutes left on that 15, and this is where we consolidated. Couldn't really get back above VWAP in and around this level, and then had that strong sell-off into these lows at 182. So let's see what we do in and around some of these levels. Again, I'm not watching the tape, but might be something interesting to watch as that selling pressure may or may not show up once again on Tesla. Now let's take a quick look at Meta as well. Meta, we know that it's been bidding up quite nicely as well. That earnings reaction quite aggressive to the downside, breaking a bit of this shelfie action that was going on since last earnings. You can see that it held up quite well. Previous earnings levels, these lows being at 450, can't really look anywhere below that. And then look at that, comes right back in on this earnings, quadunk to the downside. Shout out to Sharif, holds that 399. I got an alert there as well. Again, it wasn't there from before. I put it in. Bless you to whoever is sneezing there in the back like that. Damn. Okay, so 410, 415, 420, 450. We've just been kind of trickling right back up on maybe a higher time frame reversion that's happening here on Meta platforms there. But again, who else is a larger constituent? I think last time it was AVGO, but I don't know how far they are down the list as of right now. But AVGO holding pretty much sideways as well since last earnings. So those are kind of the top constituents of the markets. And yeah, nothing too crazy there. A few names are taking us to the upside. Again, NVIDIA being super strong and Softy as well. So let us know what you guys are trading. as our time is closing into an end there.
I can't believe that. Only 3 minutes left. Yeah, thanks again to Obi. Shout out again to Obi for covering today. Killing it there. Taking us to the bank, quite literally. Although, unfortunately, TD was...
I stood in line for quite a while.
Oh, yeah. You had to wait there. The tellers were very busy.
Yeah, they were very busy, and I was just like, I kept putting in my ticket, and I was like, hey, I'm not next. I'm not there yet, but...
Yeah,
you know.
no, and it's like one of those things where there's like someone who tries to cut you in line, you know, those type of bank scenarios. Yeah, it was like not the best banking experience, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for taking us through that. That was a name that I forgot about that I know Sean traded on day one. So nice look there for TD. Also SOXL. I'm happy I got this high of daybreak. And you know what? I'm really proud of myself. I am down in the day, but two things I'm really proud of. I took high of daybreaks here on SOXL and the TQs. And that's something I would not have done a month ago, like even in the sim. So I think you have to be proud of yourself for take incremental gains. And they're not always gonna be P&L gains, they're gonna be gains in knowledge, gains in confidence. Working towards our own personal confidence, which of course will not be called that. But you know, like I hope that makes sense. It's just, I think what I've been trying to focus on is less looking at those P&L gains, because I think I was overly focused on P&L my first week. And now I'm going on my 4th week of live trading. And I've really just been trying to focus on trades that I like and learning a little bit from each trade, whether that's material, whether it's just something on the chart there. So I do like SOXL. Save, we added a little bit to the position because at that time we were holding the 26 level. I don't think this can be saved. I think we're going to have to be saved by the bell ending this show. Be like Zach Morris, pull a crazy hijink and get out of this joint as the midday comes to an end there. Shout out to Mark Paul Goslayer. But also let's take a look at Disney. Speaking of programming and TV programming there, SOXL keeps making new highs a day here. Let's take a look at Disney, the House of Mouse. You all, Raina was mentioning this one. Yeah, so Disney broke about, wow, this 116 break was many moons ago. Shout out to everybody taking that 116 break. I think Manuel Palma brought this one to my attention, so shout out to you. Having this continued bounce off the 90 EMA, now that we're breaking a little bit below. But we are bouncing off that previous resistance area that we came up to a couple times, 116.35. This isn't a bad look. We did have that chop and churn forming us some resistance that we could break above at 116.66. So those 3 6s that are in tandem could be a bit of an omen, depending on who you are. But yeah, quite a look there. 30 seconds left. Any final words before we pass it back off here?
No, I just want to shout out Adara for pretty much carrying the lesson today. I know it was a little impromptu. Sharif not really feeling too well today, but yeah. We talked about IPOs and direct offerings and SPACs. So hopefully you guys got a little bit of knowledge with that one. And yeah, nothing too crazy. I'll see you guys hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully we see you soon. Thanks again to Obi for killing it. Always great on here. Bears versus Bulls shouting out both of us. So yeah, thank you very much. Shout out to Bears versus Bulls always. And shout out, of course, to the big desk. I'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel with more IPOs, direct listing, and SPACs. For now, though, it's back to Brendan at the big desk.
Yeah.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome in. 2 o'clock on a Monday afternoon here as we get going into the final couple hours. Hope your Monday afternoon is going well. A few things to note here, moving around. It was just Dara and